About set for the opening kickoff. Well, as the New Orleans Voodoo win their first game last week, an outstanding day for the quarterback John Fitzgerald. On the day, Fitzgerald 17 of 38 for 206 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. His main man, as Coach Haslett talked about as we went into break, was Aaron Bailey. Bailey with 9 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Bailey is the offensive specialist on this team, and there's no question about the fact when you watch this guy, and because they can run in motion forward before the ball snapped, he's tough to stop. 9 catches, 104 yards. Coach, you know a little bit about this Aaron Bailey.
Aaron played with the Colts for a long time. When I was in Pittsburgh coaching the defense for the Steelers, we had a chance to go to the AFC Championship, and we had to beat the Colts, and he had a chance on a Hail Mary to make a last-second catch. When he went through his arms, but he was their third down. He was their third down receiver for about 4 or 5 years. A big guy who can run, very strong and physical, and really made for this type of game.
This is an interesting league. These guys, the salary cap is about $1.7 million for the 24 players. 20 are active in a game. Of course, usually the quarterback's the highest paid player. The league salary minimum is $24,000. So some of these guys can make a pretty decent living playing football inside the arena. Well, the coin toss is set. The captains are out there, and the crowd is on their feet. It looks like the Voodoo will have the football first. Jim, just like the outdoor game, the NFL, I'd say 10 yards for a first down. You've got 4 downs to do it, but you don't punt in this game. So I saw last week something that surprised me a little bit. Philadelphia on 4th and 8 went for it on their own 20-yard line. But I guess there's not much to risk because it's such a short field.
I guess the only other thing you could do is try a field goal and give them the ball back, and if you make 3, if not, then it comes off the net, and who knows what'll happen. All hell will break loose.
Well, on 8-on-8 football, 3 linemen, the quarterback, the fullback, 1 fullback, and for the Voodoo, their main man behind the quarterback is Dan Curran. 5 carries last week for 45 yards, including 2 touchdowns. They say in the AFL, 25 yards in a game by a fullback is equivalent to 100 yards in the NFL because there are so few carries in the game, and 45 yards outstanding for the Voodoo fullback, Dan Curran. Let's go, I think we've got Kenny Wilkerson down in the field for a second. Coach, Kenny? Well, we'll get to Kenny in a moment here as we're about to kick off. Coach, this is exciting. First kickoff in New Orleans. I'm fired up.
Well, the people are excited. It's a heck of an atmosphere, and they got these noisemakers they're passing out. You're not allowed to do that in the NFL either. So it's a fun crowd. It looks like they're going to have fun today. And you were talking about the rushing, how the Voodoo had 45 yards rushing. This team, Indiana, has 65 yards rushing last week. So it sounds like both teams have a pretty good running game.
Yeah, 2 teams that can run the ball, and Mike New, the head coach of the Voodoo, feels running is a very strong part of his game. All right, well, the Voodoo will get the ball first. You kick off from your own goal line, so the Firebirds will kick off. Clay Rush is the kicker, and for the Voodoo, back deep is Aaron Bailey in the end zone. Remember, you can play it off the netting if that's where the ball is kicked. So, with 15 minutes on the clock, we are set to go for Voodoo football in the home opener. Sit back, relax, enjoy the action, folks, as we are underway. The kick is a deep one. This one will go off the netting. Bailey fields it. He'll come out from his own end zone. To the 5, stumbles, turns, and then goes down at about the 4 as the Voodoo will start with the football.
I'll tell you what, Chris, that's a heck of a job. First of all, it's a great kick kicking off the net. That's a good job by Aaron just catching the ball. That's got to be tricky coming off that net.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's certainly something you've got to train to get used to do. And a lot of these arena teams, they don't practice in the arena because it's an NBA facility, an NHL facility, and these guys are very talented, these returners. All right, Fitzgerald is the quarterback. Of course, Bailey is the offensive specialist. Look for guys like Anthony Collins, Lamont Moore, Calvin Spears, and Tremaine Neal as receivers. Bailey's in motion. Back to pass is Fitzgerald, and we get a whistle right away as the penalty flags go down before the ball is snapped. Coach, a lot of penalties last week, and I mean a lot. For the Voodoo, they had much less than Philadelphia. Philadelphia had 12 penalties last week for 88 yards. The Voodoo 5 for 36.
Well, our offensive lineman just jumped on that. That's why they blew the whistle. If they were offsides, the play would have been, would have let run. So that's the first penalty. I think that's something Mike wants to make sure that he tries to eliminate. So But, yeah, that's the first play, first penalty.
Well, they'll move it back half the distance to the goal line. So it'll be first down and call it 13 for the Voodoo from about their own 2-yard line. Fitzgerald drops back 4 steps, looks right side. Pass is incomplete behind the intended receiver, Bailey. And it will be second down Voodoo. A little miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver.
Well, more than anything, Chris, it was a pretty good rush by those defensive linemen. They got great push on our guys right up the gut, and the quarterback pressure in his face.
We talked about Kenny Wilkerson. He'll be down on the sidelines throughout the day. Kenny, you got something for us?
Yeah, guys, during the week when Mike Newton had to get on his team a few times, it was because of jumping offside and not concentrating as they were going through the practice sessions. That's indeed what happened on that play with the penalty.
Second down, batted away. Thanks, Kenny. We'll be back to you shortly by the Indiana defensive specialist, Anthony Derricks. Pass intended again for Bailey, so it'll be third and long for the Voodoo deep inside their own zone. As we are just underway, 90 seconds gone in the opening quarter. Clock runs on incomplete passes.
You know what? It's amazing how many guys, that kid, Anthony Derricks is from Mississippi State. A lot of guys from down south there. A couple guys from LSU, Fred Betch, Mike Sutton. So we got some guys from down south.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and it just kind of goes to show that the south part of this country, Louisiana, Mississippi, a football hotbed, no question about it. The NFL shows that too. All right, on third and long, scrambling is Fitzgerald. Not much happening, and then he will throw it into the crowd and out of play, so it will be a fourth down. So an unsuccessful start for the Voodoo on their first possession, and on 3 and out, you don't punt.
Somebody got a football.
That's right. Into the crowd it goes.
So that kid doesn't have to give that ball back, right?
No, as a matter of fact, Coach, you cannot give the football back. That's part of the rules.
If you're in the NFL, that kid would have got beat up.
Okay, well, our kicker for the Voodoo is Brian Schmitz, and since you can't punt, he will attempt the field goal from deep in his own end zone. And basically, he's just trying to kick this one as far as he can. So it will be fielded in return, which field goal attempts can be done. And for the Firebirds, bringing it out of his own end zone and knocked down is Evan Lavasek, a guy you'll hear a lot from today. Lavasek tackled at about the 17-yard line, and Indiana will have their first offensive possession of the day as we are scoreless with 12:21 to go in the first quarter. Coach, Tony Zimmerman is their quarterback. Their starting quarterback got knocked out of the game last week, so they're down to their number 2 guy in week number 2. But Coach DeBerg said this guy is very good.
He's a kid that played up in Pittsburgh. Kid played at Duquesne College, and from what I understand, he was MVP of the Arena League 2.
Yeah, last year he was the MVP of the Arena League 2. So Tony Zimmerman is the quarterback for the Indiana Firebirds as they will have their first offensive possession starting at their own 17-yard line. Leroy Thompson is the starting fullback. Like I said, Evan Lavasek is the guy you'll hear. Mike Horacek and Brett Besch are 3 very good receivers. This Indiana team is supposed to have.
Brett Besch is LSU kid. Played with the Saints for a year.
Yeah, the fans here certainly know of him. All right, Zimmerman back to pass from his own 10, going for the whole ball. Wax deep, incomplete, over the head of the intended receiver, Mike Horacek. And Horacek complains that he was held, and listening to the complaint, the linesman down there throws the flag, and we're going to get an interference call.
Let's see, it looks like they're talking it over. They might pick it up. The ball was overthrown. It was over his head. I don't know if he could have caught it, but he did get his arm was hooked.
We'll wait for the call.
It's a back hooked receiver's arm.
Kenny, let's go down to the floor.
Yeah, no doubt. And then the receiver turned around looking for the official that was right in front of him, and right in front of the play to make the call. The back judge had to come up and make the call, but there's no question that he was holding him from behind.
All right, now here's my question.
I'm listening, Jim.
How many yards is it? I mean, it's not like the NFL where they mark it.
That's right. Pass interference, a 10-yard penalty.
Right.
So, first down.
And by the way, guys, $90, that's what those balls cost that go into the stand.
$90?
$90.
I wouldn't give you $5 for one of those balls, Kenny.
10-yard penalty.
Hey, those balls are ugly.
For interference. So inside the Voodoo territory. Here's a pass incomplete by Zimmerman. He zipped it a little too hard for Besch. And Besch was open on the left side. He probably could have gone the distance if he made the catch, but it went in and out of his hands. 2nd and 10 at the New Orleans 23-yard line.
Good pressure by B.J. Cohen, their fullback. He did a nice job. I guess you can tell why he was such a great player. He was all Arena League last year in Tampa, and he's a good-looking kid. We work out in the same weight room, and he's a good-looking kid, big kid, and we're very athletic.
Defensive end, B.J. Cohen. He will try to pressure. It's tough to get a lot of pressure because there's really not a lot of blitzing in this league. and quick drops by the quarterback. Zimmerman will take the snap. 3 steps back. Going deep again. He's got a man open. Again, that is Horsick, but he overthrows his man. Incomplete, and it will be 3rd and 10 for Indiana as we are still scoreless. Time ticking, 10:45 first quarter.
He had him wide open. It is a touchdown. He just got it overthrown. They rush 4 guys every down, looks like. I don't ever see him just rushing 3. And just reading the roll book, it sounds like the Mike or Mac or whatever they call him, the middle linebacker goes away from the tight end. There's always the rush guy. So they got 4 guys coming.
And head coach Mike New has told us that he feels his defensive line is very good, and they can pressure for what pressure is in this league. You don't see many sacks, but they can make the quarterback hurry more than I'm sure the quarterback Zimmerman will want to. All right, 3rd and 10, crowd on their feet. Let's see if the Voodoo can come up big here on defense. Zimmerman drops back, looks forward. He's pressured again, gets hit, throws the ball away, incomplete. Good coverage by the New Orleans defense. Lamont Moore was on the receiver, and it will be 4th down. Brett Besh, the intended receiver for the Firebirds.
I wonder why he didn't run. The quarterbacks can run, right?
They certainly can, and he has the room.
Ran on that one.
Well, his first start in the Arena Football League, Tony Zimmerman, the AF2 MVP of the league last year, and maybe he's got a little jitters too. So the Firebirds will attempt the field goal themselves. Clay Rush is the kicker for the Firebirds. Brett Besh is the holder, and they will kick from their own 18-yard line. The snap is down, the kick is up, it's certainly deep enough, and it is good through the uprights.
Good kick, straight ahead.
So Clay Rush puts it through the post, and the Firebirds will take the 3-0 lead as the clock is stopped with 9 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. We'll go to break. Indiana scores first, back with the Voodoo possession right after this timeout.
Hey, Louisiana, it's oyster season, and it's Corey Johnson here.
Lots of points to be scored yet in this game. Off the end boards again, and it's bobbled by Bailey as it goes to the ground. The New Orleans Voodoo will start at their own 5-yard line. You know, Coach, it's such an NFL...
You got to explain that one to me.
Well, he's got to catch it in the air. Otherwise, it's a touchback if it hits the ground. And, you know, an NFL town New Orleans is. But what was interesting is the crowd got a little upset after the field goal. That's 3 points in the NFL, too, but that's not much here. There's going to be a lot of points today.
Well, from what I've seen so far, I picked up the paper the other day. There's 63, 65, 40, 50. The Voodoo was probably one of the lower scoring games in the league last week.
Yeah, 42 points. Here's Fitzgerald looking for his man Bailey. Oh, broken up at the last second as Fitzgerald made the pass. A nice one. Good defensive play there made by Indiana defender Anthony Garrix. And it'll be 2nd and 10.
That's the second play he made. He's a big kid, too. He's 6'2", 180 pounds, and looks like he's a pretty good defender. Obviously, he's matched up man-to-man on Aaron Bailey, so that must be our best player against their best player.
Yeah, that looks that way. I think we're going to see a lot of that today. 2nd and 10, Voodoo trying to get this offense in motion from their own 5-yard line. Remember, 50-yard field. Again in motion is Bailey. Double pump. Here's a man open on the right side. Tremaine Neal. Does he make the catch? Into the crowd he goes. And the call is going to be a complete catch, I believe. They're talking it over. What are they going to say, Coach?
Incomplete.
Oh, boy, that looked pretty good from up
He
here.
made a great play. I mean, he made a great play, but I think he was leaning on the boards when he caught the ball. But he made a great catch. Went up into the stands. That's a first right there.
Well, you know, and it's a judgment call at that point by the referee. Well, upstairs, I thought it was good. Of course, I'm going to go with the Voodoo every time. I like this. John Fitzgerald goes to Mike New, who's on the sideline, the head coach, and talks to him between plays. Certainly different than the NFL.
Much different. Well, I'm on the field enough, so, but not like that.
Well, he's allowed to be on the field. That's the difference. All right, 3rd and 10, Coach, for the Voodoo with their own 5-yard line, trying to convert for the first time. Fitzgerald drops back. He'll roll right. It's got his man, like you said, caught. First down. That's Lamont Moore, who rolls down to the 23-yard line. And it'll be first down, Voodoo, almost at midfield.
Good throw, a little rollout. Get out of the pocket, avoided the rush, and made a nice throw catch. They play a lot of man-to-man, Chris.
Yeah, yep, and that's the game. Now, you've got 3 receivers. They're all going. And you've also got the tight end who doesn't really get involved much. The fullback, we haven't seen a run yet. 1st and 10, Voodoo. They're going to mark it at the 22-yard line as we have under 7 minutes to go opening quarter. 3-0, Indiana with the early lead. In motion is Bailey. Fitzgerald drops back. Bailey bumped a little bit, so he'll go to the right side. That's Moore again down the sidelines, and he's pushed into the sideboards at about the 15-yard line. That will be good enough for the first down for the Voodoo as they are marching downfield inside Indiana territory.
First snap of zone I've seen. They played, but they did it, play a little cover 2, rolled up over here to Aaron Bailey, and played 0 on the other side. Man-to-man on the other side, backed off and gave him the flat, and that's exactly what he hit. Fitzgerald hit the flat on him.
And I think it was back to Bailey again. He made so many catches last week, but even if he doesn't make a catch, he's a big guy who's decoying out there. And I think, obviously, the Indiana defense looking at Bailey every time. He's in motion again. He'll swing from right to left. He cuts down the middle. Fitzgerald's looking for him this time. Yeah! Touchdown, Voodoo! Nice pass by Fitzgerald. Right on the money. Bailey makes the catch, and the Voodoo take the 6-3 lead on a 15-yard strike.
Yes, this is like playing in the street. It's like going down to the telephone pole, give a head fake, and go to the right.
I tell you, the defenders have to have thick skin, as Mike New said, because there's a lot of times that you will see touchdowns, but you got to keep it going. We'll get to Kenny Wilkerson after the extra point attempt here as we will go down the field. Brian Schmitz is the kicker for the Voodoo. Jermaine Alford, the backup quarterback, is the holder. Hold is down, kick is up, through the upright. Schmitz gives the Voodoo the 7-3 lead. Kenny?
Chris, and Jim was just saying, a lot like playing football out in the street, but what Mike New wants to try to do is get away from their specialist in Derek, okay? As Jim pointed out about him going up against Aaron Bailey, when John Fitzgerald can find that mismatch and their best guy is out on Bailey, that's when he's going to go to him. The other times they're going to be looking for their linebacker, which in this case today is Brett Best, and he goes into coverage. That's going to be Fitzgerald where he's going to want to go with the ball first. Of course, if everything breaks down, he's got to do the opposite stuff and just try to find somebody open. But this is the case in kind of the chess game that's played on this kind of field where you're looking for that defensive specialist to be away from your best guy.
Thanks, Kenny. Let's go to break. 5:29 to go, first quarter. Voodoo take the 7-3 lead. We'll be back after this timeout.
Here's Jerome Pathon of the New Orleans Saints.
Back at the New Orleans Arena.
Surroundings at Colonial Golf and Country Club. Colonial is one of
Chris
the oldest
Kenyon
and
along with
finest
Saints
clubs
head
in the
coach
state.
Jim Haslett. 7-3, the New Orleans Voodoo take the lead on John Fitzgerald strike to Aaron Bailey for 15 yards. Folks, we've got a real neat feature on the broadcast this year with the New Orleans Voodoo. You can go to our website, which is govoodoo.com. Click on the game day page, and you can email us questions throughout the broadcast, and we'll answer them on the radio. So that's govoodoo.com. Type in your name and where you're from. We'll want to hear from you. Give us a question, and we'll answer them. Our first question comes from Johnny, and his question is, can you catch a pass off the net in the end zone? Yes, you can. And as a matter of fact, that is live, that net on all plays. So a Hail Mary, Jim, in this game, throw up off that net. I mean, it's a lot easier to give a chance of a Hail Mary maybe than in the NFL.
I've never seen anything like it. It's an interesting concept. I don't know how far is the diameter to kick a field goal, but it's not a lot of opening and a lot of net.
Yeah, 9 feet wide, about half the distance of the NFL net. There it is. Schmitz kicked off for the Voodoo. They have 4-point lead. Out of his own end zone is Indiana's Anthony Derricks.
That must be one of the better players because he's out there covering Aaron Bailey. He's doing all the returning. He's a pretty big kid, too.
Well, he will bring it out to about the 11-yard line. They're going to mark it at the 13-yard line. First and 10 for Indiana. New Orleans has the 7-3 lead as we have under 5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Chris Kenyon, your host. Saints head coach Jim Haslett in the broadcast booth. We're also going to be joined a little bit later on today by Saints special teams coach Al Everest. He coached in the Arena Football League about 10, 11, 12 years ago in San Antonio. So we'll get some AFL perspective from Coach Everest as well, and also Kenny Wilkerson down on the field.
Coach Everest he knows all the roles. He coached the game. He coached special teams. He coached offense. His brother was an offensive and defensive line coach, so he can give you a little bit more insight on the game and how it should play, the strategy. I don't know anything. I'm just a fan. It's enjoyable. I'm having fun out here, and it's a great time. People ought to come out and watch a game. It looks like it's fun out there.
I'm with you. I'm a fan enjoying this. This is fun football. How about that defensive stand by the Voodoo front line on the first run of the game by the Firebirds? Leroy Thompson, nothing doing. He lost 3 yards in the play. It's going to be 2nd and 13 for the Firebirds. Voodoo on defense, ball at the Indiana 10-yard line. We have some movement early, and we'll get a whistle. I think the left end for our Voodoo may have jumped, but he's saying That's Tim Martin saying that maybe he was drawn offside.
It's on the offense.
There you go. Mike Sutton, the lineman moves early. That will march them back farther, and it will be 2nd and long for the Voodoo. Spot the ball at about the 5-yard line. Called 2nd down at 18. Well, one thing that I noticed, too, every play is possibly a scoring play, so it's not like 2nd and 18 is tough to overcome.
I don't think it's all the same, so I don't think down and distance really makes a difference, to be honest with you, except for stay out of 3rd down and complete.
Well, let's see what Zimmerman's got. He will drop back to pass on 2nd and 18. Pressured hit, gets the ball away. It will go incomplete.
Good rush.
Off the fingertips of Mike Horacek into the crowd. Who was that got the pressure on Zimmerman? He got all over him.
Tim Martin got a great rush, and the guy was wide open, but he got a rush, and the quarterback had to hurry and overthrow him. I don't understand. The quarterback goes over to the coach every single snap and gets a play.
He does, and the play clock's only 25 seconds every play, so you don't have a lot of time. But I also noticed that the teams don't seem to be rushed on offense in getting the plays off in time.
Well, you don't have to run very far to get to the coach, that's for sure, about 10 yards.
And the coach on the field. Kevin Porter is the defensive coordinator. He's on the field for the Voodoo when they're on defense. Here's Zimmerman going for the whole ball, rocks deep. This one incomplete. Yes, coach. Great coverage. Chris Pointer, the defensive specialist for the Voodoo. He was outstanding last week with 8.5 tackles. This guy's a great cover man.
Well, I'll tell you a couple things right now. Coming down, Al, Coach Evers told me that you should basically score on every single possession. And right now, the Firebirds have been shut out twice, and the Voodoo won. So both teams are playing pretty good defense.
One field goal for the Firebirds. They trail. New Orleans up 7-3, 2:20 to go. In 4th and 18, they are going to attempt a field goal from their own end zone. And this will basically be just like a punt, I guess.
-5 or -4 from the end zone.
Yeah. Let's see how far it can be kicked.
Got blocked.
Blocked on the line. Getting through is Tim Martin, the man you just called. And it will be 1st down Voodoo. Let's see where they mark this. Oh, boy, talk about getting through the line. Tim Martin did just that.
Rocky is going to be, the ball's going to be spotted at the 3-yard line.
Now that's field position. 1st and goal. They have the 7-3 lead. That puts the crowd on the feet here. Pretty good crowd here. Not sure if it's a sellout or not, but I'll tell you what, the people in the arena are having fun today. 2:09 to go here in the opening quarter. New Orleans with the 7-3 lead. The first strike on the touchdown was to Aaron Bailey, 15 yards from John Fitzgerald. His first touchdown pass today with 4 last week. He's up to 5 on the season.
And guys, one thing that's become very apparent from down here as this game is unfolding is that this crowd is very much into it. This town loves its football, and everybody knows how much they pay attention, how close they pay attention to everything on Sunday afternoons in the Dome. And I was very curious as to how much they would actually be into the game itself. Very much so. Early on, they are into it.
We're going to go to break. We'll be back. 1st and goal with the Voodoo. When we come back, they lead 7-3 here on WSMB. Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host, along with New Orleans Saints head coach Jim Haslett. We have 2 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. 7-3. The Voodoo have the lead, and they have a great opportunity here to add to the lead. 1st and goal on the 3-yard line after the blocked field goal attempt from his own end zone. The kicker, Clay Rush, had the kick blocked by Tim Martin, who is going to be a guy I think you're going to hear a lot of in this league this year. Martin is a very good defensive end, and he is quick. Got through, up the middle, and in for the block, and John Fitzgerald and the Voodoo offense will take over 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Fitzgerald has the play as they break the huddle. Let's see if the Voodoo can push it in here for 6 more. 2 wideouts right. Of course, one, Aaron Bailey. They connected earlier. Bailey in motion. This time it's pitched to Dan Curran. Will he get in the end zone? Dives forward. Touchdown! Curran with his 3rd score of the season. He had 2 last week. And the Voodoo take the 13-3 lead. And looked like the play was going right based on the alignment of the receivers. And Curran sweeps left. Just gets across the goal line. Dan Curran with the touchdown for the Voodoo.
And guys down from below here, Jim, I can't imagine what it would be like to try to talk to you or one of your coaches during the course of a game, but at this level, you can talk to the coaches a little bit. For them to hold that team to 2 possessions with no scores is big, and now for them to jump up like this, it is. Now, these leads can disappear very, very quickly, and they get the point there, but these leads can disappear very, very quickly, but each possession becomes very, very much more critical as each game goes on.
Well, part of it is this quarterback. You know, the quarterback's missed a couple guys from the Firebirds, and I guess this is his first start. And, it doesn't look like he's real sharp right now, but we'll see how the game, goes on.
Right, and he was trying to get the ball early. They were looking for the matchup and trying to get it to their best guy, Horsett. And then they couldn't connect with him. Then he had a wide-open Brett Best who dropped the ball. So, obviously, they're a little jittery in this game early on as well.
Well, last week, I think John Fitzgerald was feeling a little bit of the same. No scoring in the first quarter for the Voodoo last week. They've got 14 points on the board here in this quarter, which is what they averaged in the last 3 quarters last week. I'm sure Zimmerman and the Indiana defense will get going, and they're going to put some points on the board. But nice to start at home, your first game up on a 14-3 lead.
Brett Best is probably nervous. Coming home, LSU.
Yeah. And Brett Best is a guy we'll hear from today, that's for sure as well, for the Firebirds. They will get the ball. The Firebirds, as you kick off from your own goal line, and with a 50-yard field, you try to get it off the netting in the end zone, and the returns, you'll see some touchdown returns. Michael Lewis was a guy who made his name in the NFL, and Coach, he's come along very well with your New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, and he's sitting down there in the first row about the 25-yard line. I guess that's equivalent to the 50-yard line in the NFL, but he's sitting down there in the first row, and I know he's got some season tickets, and this is kind of where he made his niche. He needs to get off the cell phone. He's got the Joe Horn syndrome.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michael Lewis was real excited when this product became a reality last fall. He was the first guy in line. I want some front row seats, he said.
Well, he got them. He's sitting right down there in the front row. Good seats. I might have to go take that one beside him.
Coach Jim Haslett joining us in the broadcast booth. Special teams coach from the New Orleans Saints, Al Everest, will come up a little bit later to join us. We're going to hear from the commissioner of the AFL, David Baker, at halftime. And, of course, sideline reports from Kenny Wilkerson throughout the contest. Brian Schmitz will kick off for the Voodoo from his own goal line. He was a bit nervous last week, too. Missed his first 2 field goal attempts, missed his first extra point. He's been on the money here today. He told me that that 9-foot wide uprights looked about a foot wide last week. And I think kickers kind of get in that zone. And he struggled early, but he got himself back together and playing well in the last 3 quarters. All right, he'll boot this one deep off the end netting and returning it for the Firebirds. Bringing it out will be Derricks, and he brings it out to about the
15-yard line.
Yeah, just about 15-yard line, where the Firebirds will take over 1st and 10.
Well, good kick again, way up high on the net.
Right, and that's what they're trying to do. The higher, the better. You want to get a more crazy bounce coming down off of there so it possibly can hit the ground and not be caught, because then it's a dead ball and then they, a touchback or whatever you want to call it. And they were in here yesterday and got to do a little bit of work with the arena set up, but they have had very limited time being able to work with the net, and it's a crucial part of this game.
Anthony Derricks, the kick returner, he's a defensive specialist. Usually it's the offensive specialist returning kicks, but for the Firebirds, they use their defensive specialist. Deep pass here by Zimmerman, that way overthrown as he was looking for the whole thing, and I think they get a flag late after the play. We may have
roughing the quarterback on Dan Kerwin.
Yeah, you're right. That's the call. And
that was a bad pass there. He threw that about 20 yards behind the guy, or over the head of the guy. But it was a good rush by Dan. He just needs to pull off at the last second.
Well, you've got to watch the penalties, especially on those. That will be an automatic first down for the Firebirds, and it will push the ball all the way across the midfield stripe. 25-yard line. The 25-yard mark is the midfield stripe in the arena ball. So it will be at the 24-yard line. 1st and 10 Firebirds. New Orleans with a 14-3 lead. We may get another playoff before the first quarter comes to an end. We have just a few seconds left. Let's see if Zimmerman will wait. He gets up to the line, and
they're not going to get off on time.
No, we will get a timeout. So we'll take a break as well. After 1 quarter of play, the Voodoo leading the Firebirds 14-3. Head coach Jim Haslett, thanks for coming up for this first quarter in the pregame show. I appreciate it. Fun game, isn't it?
Looks like it's fun. Looks like the city will have enjoyed this. I think they're a pretty good football team, so it looks like they're going to have fun. And you do a great job, Chris, and Al will be up here, and he'll give you insight. Al, you ain't going to get much words in Al now.
Coach, thanks very much. Good luck this fall with the Saints.
Thank you.
Saints head coach Jim Haslett. Well, 14-3 is the score. As we come back to start the second quarter, New Orleans has the lead after 2 touchdowns on their second and third possession after stalling on their first possession, and they really got going on 3rd and 10 deep in their own zone on their first scoring drive. Aaron Bailey on a 15-yard touchdown from John Fitzgerald, and then Dan Kern on a 3-yard run for the 14-3 lead after Indiana got on board first with a field goal by kicker Clay Rush. I would like to thank Coach Azza for coming up here this afternoon. We're going to have all sorts of different guest analysts, football experts, if you will. Next week in Atlanta against Georgia, Ashley Ambrose, Saints cornerback, will join us. 2 weeks from now, the Voodoo will be in Las Vegas, and to Vegas will go Michael Lewis. He's going to join us on the broadcast. So we're going to get all sorts of different New Orleans Saints players, coaches. Mickey Loomis, the general manager, was with us last week. A lot of fun in the broadcast booth this season for the inaugural Voodoo season here on 1350 WSMB, and also on WWL 870 AM. We'll have some games as we rotate back and forth. Yeah, shovel pass on first down. Kenyon to the right side, charging forward. Leroy Thompson hit hard into the boards, and he's knocked down at about the 18-yard line. I think they're going to go about 6 yards, and it will be second down for the Firebirds. New Orleans has the 14-3 lead.
You know, Chris, earlier, or a couple plays ago, when they got Curran on the roughing call, I mean, he's an aggressive football player. He's a good football player. He is the one guy that can rush, and he'll line up in that A gap, and he comes almost every time.
Kenny Wilkerson joining us from the field today, and throughout all the home games this season. Here's a strike toward the end zone. Incomplete. Good coverage on defense by New Orleans' Monty Montgomery, the defensive back, on his man, and the pass goes incomplete, as it will now be third down for the Firebirds.
And he's going at Horacek. I mean, that's what Mike warned his team about all week. He preached it to him over and over and over again. And, of course, his defensive specialists are the ones that have to be concerned with him the most. He's a good football player. He's a good-looking receiver. He's got good size, good speed. He's been open a lot so far today. It looked like they were going to get him. It was just a bad throw by the quarterback.
I got to tell you, too, Kenny, the quarterback, Tony Zimmerman's probably been knocked down more in this first quarter than I saw either quarterback knocked down all of last Sunday. The New Orleans pressure is really taking its toll.
Right, and that's a good sign for later on to come in this game, because they're controlling the line of scrimmage. It looks like they're kind of trying to play a little cat and mouse there. No whistle. The receiver decided, that's Brett Besh, without the whistle, decided to take it back and try to make it into the end zone. His quarterback picked it up and threw in the ball. Another bad throw, though. Had he made a good throw, they would have picked up a touchdown right there.
Well, and the referees are going to converge on this one. Half the players out there thought the play was whistled dead and stopped playing, and Zimmerman was confused. It looked like maybe they were trying to put a little I guess the decoy on, if you will, but the referees seemed a little confused. So the result of the play here is going to be fourth down for the Firebirds on the incomplete pass. Kenny?
Yeah, no, it was hard to tell whether or not it was something by design in a cat and mouse type of situation for him. I tend to think that it was probably more of a busted play, but recognized by the quarterback and by Brett Besh that the whistle had not blown and the play was still alive, so they gave themselves a chance there. They just weren't able to capitalize.
Here we go, 4th and 4. They'll go for it. Pass will be complete and just enough for the first down for Horacek. If he makes the catch, the Voodoo defenders say no, he didn't. But yes, he did. Horacek made the catch, and it will be for 5. They need a 4, so the drive stays alive for Indiana. Mark it at about the 12-yard line inside New Orleans territory, as the Voodoo have the 14-3 lead as we are just underway in quarter number 2. 12 minutes and 20 seconds and counting to go as clock continues to run after every play in the AFL, with the exception of your commercial timeout. All right, 1st and 10 for Indiana. Zimmerman is set. In motion is Besh. It'll go to the right side. Pass is caught by Lavisek, and he will run to the 5, tackled at the 4, just short of the first down. So pretty good gain on first down for Indiana. They're going to give him 9 yards on the play, and the ball will be placed at the 4-yard line deep inside Voodoo territory.
And they send in Besh, the guy in motion on that play, kind of, if you will, flooding the zone and being able to attack the Voodoo defense, going right at Chris' corner. He couldn't make up his mind whether or not he wanted to go with the deep guy, Besh, or the guy who caught the ball, who just caught it a little zip right there, right all over right off the line.
Oh, look at that tackle on 2nd and short. The defense stuffs Leroy Thompson on the right side, trying to gain the corner. Not going to happen, as the defense was on top of it, led by New Orleans defender. I believe McClure was over there on the play. Good defense. Also in on the tackle, Dan Curran, the linebacker, also fullback, who has scored a touchdown, as 6 of 8 players on the field play both offense and defense in the AFL, and it will be still 3rd down and 1 yard to go for the Firebirds.
You'll know it in the game, and McClure and Cohen. That's your rushers, and that's your line right now. They're doing a good job of controlling things.
This time Thompson spins off a couple. He got a yard, not much more. I think he got enough for the 1st down. The Voodoo front line and linebackers really do a nice job against the run. And as Jim Haslett said in the pregame show, Indiana, a very good day on the ground last week in their loss. They dropped a 54-48 decision to Columbus, but they did put the ball on the ground and gain, well, 58 yards on the day compared to for New Orleans. 48 yards last week.
Away from the ball right there, Chris Horner doing everything he can to harass Horacek back in the corner of the end zone. Them two jaw-jacking and pushing on each other after the play was over.
1st and goal. It's going to be a quarterback keeper forward to the goal line in the end zone. Yes, touchdown, Tony Zimmerman for the Firebirds, much to the chagrin of the crowd here in New Orleans, but he just got the ball across the goal line before he went down, and the Firebirds cut the lead to 14-9 with the extra point upcoming now with under 10 minutes to go in the 1st half. The kicker will be Clay Rush for Indiana, and the holder is Brett Besh. So the Firebirds scored their 1st touchdown of the game. New Orleans 2 so far. And again, the offense continues. Here's the extra point attempt. The kick is blocked again. Look at the Voodoo. That's the 2nd block kick of the 1st half. This time I think it was the big guy that got in there. Let's see.
That was Abdul Noah.
Yes, it was.
And Abdul Noah may be a little familiar with some of our audience because he spent some time in training camp with the Saints. He's a good football player. He just kind of got caught up in the numbers with the Saints, unable to make the squad. But they like him here, and he's been dominating. He's been pushing his people around so far since this game has started.
Let's take a break. The Voodoo have the lead with 9:33 to go in the 1st half. 14-9. New Orleans in front. Back after this timeout.
WSMP 1350 AM.
And welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host. The New Orleans Voodoo leading the Indiana Firebirds 14-9. 9:33 to go here in the 1st half. Indiana will kick off from their own goal line after the touchdown by the quarterback, Tony Zimmerman, on the 2-yard keeper, but the extra point blocked by Abdul Salam, and the Voodoo will have the 5-point lead when they get the football. Bailey is deep in the end zone for the Voodoo. 50-yard field, and these kickoffs go off the netting, which with an 8-yard end zone, that's 58, plus if they can get it up there 20 feet in the air, that's a long kickoff. And they've got to avoid the scoreboard in the middle, too. So these kickers are very talented. And this one will go... Yeah, did that go wide? That went wide of the net, Kenny, which is a penalty in the AFL. It's like kicking the ball out of bounds in the NFL, and it will bring it all the way up to the 20-yard line. And with midfield at 25, that's great field position, and a bit of a mistake by the kicker. But, Kenny, they've got to avoid the scoreboard in the middle, too. If they hit that, that's like kicking out of bounds. So he went too far to the right and almost hit you.
It actually did. It went right over my head. But what they're trying to do, obviously, they want to get it as high as possible. That creates more of a crazy bounce or crazy bounce off the net. Don't know where it's going to come down. And if you want to get it up high in the corner like that, then you really can create problems. But he just missed it completely and sent it wide right, if you will.
1st and 10, Voodoo from their own 20-yard line. They lead 14-9. Fitzgerald drops back the pass. Up the middle.
Bailey.
10-5 is in the end zone. Oh, they're going to say he was pushed out of bounds just before. Mark it at about the 3 or 4 yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for the Voodoo.
Yeah, he hit Bailey all the way. He had a little bit of a pump fake on the play, Chris, and went right at his target. He just kind of got pushed into the wall a little bit, and that's where they're going to whistle it down. But this football team, very, very scrappy and coming out looking good today so far.
Aaron Bailey with a great fake to the right, and he turned around the defender for the Firebirds, who was Anthony Derricks, and he was open on the left side and just stepped out of bounds at about the 3.5 yard line. 1st and goal, Voodoo. They'll put 3 wide right. Bailey is out there along with Neal and Moore. Let's see what Fitzgerald tries to do. He's going to try to keep it. Looks like maybe a busted plane. He's tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Not much happening at all on that play, and it will be second and goal from about the 4-yard line.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a miscommunication on the play there because not only did he look like he had nowhere to go, but the defensive lineman, the defensive end coming from was untouched. Nobody even went after him, so definitely a breakdown.
Kenny Wilkerson reporting on the sidelines, on the field. Kenny, how's it look from the field in this game compared to the NFL?
Well, it's different. Just something just happened just now on the long throw, on the throw from Bailey to Bailey. Mike knew, when the offense is on the field, the coaches come out. I mean, here he is running behind the team as they're going down the field.
No question, offensive coordinator.
It's pretty interesting to see.
Here's the throw, second goal to the fade is going to be incomplete. Yeah, he made the catch, but he's ruled out of bounds on the sideline, and it will be third and goal with New Orleans up by 5. Boy, Neal actually pushed up and over the dashboards and out of play.
That's the kind of stuff. It's a shame, you can't get a score on a situation like that because he looked like he had it. It looked like he's kind of carried over it, if you will. But that's the kind of football, and that's the kind of stuff that will happen in this game that this city is going to absolutely love. Because, I mean, it is as physical as you can imagine when something like that happens.
In-your-face football. Third and goal, Voodoo from the 4-yard line, leading by 5, looking for more. Fitzgerald with a good hard count draws the offside on the Voodoo.
I think they came. I don't think Noah jumped on that one. I don't think he bobbed his head, which is the problem they were having during the week.
Some pushing and shoving down after the play. Aaron Bailey involved with the defender back there. Let's see what the call is from the referee. John Fitzgerald last week drew off the Philadelphia defense about 4 times with that hard snap count. He is very good at that, and he did it right there. That will push the ball to about the 2-yard line, maybe the 2.5, and it will be third and goal for the Voodoo, trying to add to this 5-point lead with 6 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the opening half.
You're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, that was because of the hard count by Fitzgerald. The unfortunate thing about it is it's going to take time for his players to get used to it because he throws them off as well. But Noah did a good job right now, right on that play, is keeping his hand down.
On the pitch to the right side, losing yards on the play will be Mario Evans, the backup fullback, tackled at the 5-yard line on third and goal. That did not work at all, but there is another flag down on the play as we will wait for the call. Well, in the broadcast booth with us right now is New Orleans Saints special teams coach Al Everest. Coach, thanks for coming up. We appreciate it. Man, is this fun football or what?
It's been great, Chris. It's my kind of game. You got a blocked field goal that turned into a touchdown. You got a blocked PAT. It's a big part of why it's 14-9 in favor of the Voodoo.
Well, penalty against the Firebirds again. And it will be an automatic first down, and they'll mark it at about the 1-yard line. New Orleans up 14-9. Coach Al Everest in the broadcast booth with us here for the remainder of this half, and we'll have him around for the second half of it as well. With 6 minutes to go in the opening half. First and goal. Coach, we'll get to you here in a second, but hopefully I'm going to be calling a touchdown right here in about one play. Let's see what comes up. Fitzgerald is set. He's got 2 wideouts right. Bailey left in motion to the right side. Fitzgerald looks like he wants to keep it. Will he get in the end zone? Reaches forward. Touchdown! Fitzgerald, as the quarterback keeper, makes it 29 in favor of the Voodoo. That was a little slow in the building, but a good hole by the offensive line of the Voodoo.
That's the same play, Chris, that you just saw Indiana score their touchdown on. They took the motion away and the quarterback the other direction, and found a way to get it in, and we just had a great job by John in getting that ball in the end zone.
Well, New Orleans stopped on their first possession. Now they are striking like it's a well-oiled machine right now. The extra point attempt, Schmitz will put it up. The kick is through the uprights and good, and it is 21-9 in favor of New Orleans.
Big point right there. You got to score every chance you get. And in this league, Chris, and all the fans will learn, you've got to score some points on every possession.
Let's take a timeout with the timeout on the field. New Orleans leading Indiana here in the home opener at the New Orleans Arena. It's the Voodoo 21, the Firebirds 9. Back after this. Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host, along with Saints special teams coach Al Everest. 21-9, New Orleans leading with 5:12 left in the first half. Coach, you were an AFL coach back in the early 90s in San Antonio, so you know this game.
Yeah, I was offensive coordinator in San Antonio with the San Antonio Force in 1992. Dick Nolan was the head coach. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed coaching it and being part of this game.
This is the 18th year of the AFL. They've done some changing of the rules and experimenting as they've been going calling out could the offensive coordinator be on the field like Mike New is back then?
You can always have one coach on the sideline, always one coach on the field.
Look at that kick by Schmitz right through the uprights, which is a touchback. And in the AFL, when a touchback occurs, the ball is placed at the 5-yard line, which seems very deep in NFL terms, which is still a good job by the kicker to put that ball down there so they start at their own 5, even though the field is only 50 yards.
It'd be like the plus 45 in NFL, so it ain't all bad if you're talking about offense.
Okay, special teams is a big part of this game, and as you being a special teams coach, you must kind of really like watching this sport.
Well, it's a little different. You don't have the punt game. This game's all about scoring, so the only time you kick the ball is kick off or you kick field goals or PATs. So we did 2 big plays on special teams today with a blocked field goal by the Voodoo, which turned into a touchdown by our team, and then you got the blocked PAT, which is 4 points they've taken away, plus scored 7.
Incomplete on the first down pass by Tony Zimmerman intended for Mike Horacek. Folks, if you're listening at home, we've got a feature that's pretty unique in radio broadcasting. You can go to the Voodoo website, which is govoodoo.com, G-O-V-O-O-D-O-O.com, govoodoo.com. Click on the game day page, and you can ask us some questions. We'll read them on the air for myself, for Coach Everest, or whoever the Saints player or coach may be, or for Kenny Wilkerson down in the field, and we'll ask them on the air. So go voodoo.com, go to the game day page. Look at this, pressure in the end zone, almost a sack. Pass is up in the air, complete across midfield. Oh, they almost got the Zimmerman for the safety, but he makes the pass, and it will be a first down on the 23-yard connection. Zimmerman hasn't completed too many thus far in this game. That one good, and they almost got the QB.
That was a nice catch right there, too. They did have good pressure on the quarterback, but unfortunately we slid off and gave him that extra time, Chris, to complete the pass. A nice catch.
And now good catch and good hit by Montgomery. He's a physical football player, and I know that he wants to get his helmet on as many people as he can in this game. It looks like he'd be on Horacek on this one.
You know, that was a nice play by the receiver to hang on to the ball because Montgomery did put such a big hit on him. Another complete pass, and boy, quickly, this game goes from one end to the other on 2 plays. It's now first and goal for the Firebirds on the completion of 14 yards, and it will be marked at the 7-yard line. Two plays ago, we're down at their 5. Now they're at the Voodoo 7.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a drive.
It's fast in this game. You can score at any point, any time. That's what makes it really exciting.
Time-consuming drives don't exist.
About 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. New Orleans leading 21-9, but the Voodoo win deep. Zimmerman is set. In motion is Horacek. Zimmerman looks left for Horacek. Double pump. Now goes to his second man. Making the catch, rolling off the tackler is Anthony Hines, but a nice job by Chris Pointer, the New Orleans defensive back, to stay with him and keep him out of the end zone.
That was a big tackle there. You know, the guy had a chance to make him miss and score a touchdown, and we're still alive on defense at the 2-yard line. So let's see if we can get a turnover or hold them right there.
Montgomery was man on Horacek, and that's where the quarterback wanted to go with the football. It looked like Pointer kind of came off of this guy as the quarterback was looking around. Had he not done that, he was in a position where he would have been able to knock the ball away, but he gave him just enough cushion.
Second and goal. And right off the bat, nice tackle by the on the handoff. Smothered immediately was Leroy Thompson as the defense again looking good against the run.
You know, you get down in this plus 3 area on offense. There's not a lot of depth to the passing game, so you start seeing a lot more running. And you got to do a good job of bowling it up and stopping it quick because it doesn't take long to make 2 or 3 yards.
Saints special teams coach Al Everest with us up in the booth. Kenny Wilkerson is down in the end zone. Heads up, Kenny, you might catch a football. All right, third and goal at about the 3-yard line for the Firebirds. Crowd on their feet. Voodoo trying to hold. Zimmerman back.
So wide.
Well, let's see. They're going to talk about the officials. No flags down thus far. And if the play stands, it'll be 4th and goal from the 10-yard line. Well, legal or not, I'll tell you what, Coach, he got buried.
That was fun. I don't know if it's legal or not either. I got a feeling it's not legal because you can only rush those guys from the shoulder, outside shoulder of the guard or the YN, and it looked to me like that was a defensive back coming around the corner.
He lined up in the gap, and they're going to just talk about whether or not, you know, in football, he wants to, like, stunt and make his way around, but he did it awful fast. Now they're going to say, no way, he couldn't have done it that quick. They're going to call it.
You got to start out in that defensive box, And, you know, you can't have edge rushing like that, or you'd never be able to pass the ball. But it's fun to watch. That's a worthy penalty right there. Great lick on the quarterback.
Nice job by the referees explaining it, too, to the crowd, even though they don't like it. The defensive back cannot come in on a rush from the outside like that, so it's a 5-yard penalty, but it will actually be, on this one, half the distance to the goal line, so it will be 3rd and goal for the Firebirds. New Orleans leading 21-9. We have 64 ticks remaining on the clock here in this first half of play.
This would be a big down right here. You got your 3rd down, then you try to hold them here and force them into a field goal or going for it. And
1 minute warning here, guys.
Yeah, the clock does stop as it comes down to the 1-minute warning. And in the AFL, like the NFL, has a 2-minute warning. This is a 1-minute warning. So with that, we will take a timeout as well. 1 minute to go in the opening half. The New Orleans Voodoo in their home opener. Oh, no, they're not going to go to break. We'll keep it right here. They're going to keep it here. I thought we were going to break. All right, 3rd and goal here, or 1st and goal on the penalty. Here we go.
They stopped him.
And nice defense.
Hamilton and Cohen there, guys, coming through and really putting a lot of pressure up the gut.
That's a great job. Great job. Big decision time now for the Firebirds. They're going to go for the field goal. Now they're going for it. They're going for the touchdown.
You know, Chris and Dow, B.J. Cohen is another one of those players that this town's going to get to know a lot. He does a lot on the field. He was quiet last week, and talking to Mike New during the week about how much they were unable, how many things they didn't use in the game. He said there's a lot of stuff they didn't have to go to, or they just opted not to go to. And B.J. Cohen is one of them. He can help on offense. He's a weapon. He can play tight end and catch the football. But one of the biggest things he does right there is what he did right there, and that is put pressure at the line of scrimmage.
All right, we'll go to break now. Clock stop, 44 seconds left in the first half. New Orleans leading 21-9. Stick around, folks. Back after this.
Hey, Louisiana, it's Oyster football.
New Orleans Voodoo, 1350 AM WSMB, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon on with Saints special teams coach Al Evers. Final minute to play here in the first half. New Orleans leading the Indiana Firebirds 21-9. 44 seconds to be exact, but charging in close right now with the Firebirds. 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. The pitch right into the end zone. Touchdown for Indiana. Leroy Thompson carries it into the end zone, and the Firebirds cut into the lead with 41 seconds left in the half. Without doesn't mean you take a knee in the AFL, because there's at least one score, maybe more, left in this first half potentially.
Real nice reach block right there on that toss right there. That guard did a nice job. Took the end, and they got right in that end zone. All right, let's see if we can block this P18. We blocked one earlier.
Yeah, they certainly have. They blocked 2 kicks. A field goal attempt, that was deep inside their own territory, and an extra point.
Bad snap.
Snap flow. The kick is up this time, and it is good through the 9-foot-wide uprights. And the score now after the extra point, 21-16. The Voodoo leading the Firebirds.
Well, we got 41 seconds now, Chris, so let's see if we can get a good return. There's still plenty of time to score 2 more touchdowns with 41 seconds left.
It's like forever, 46 seconds. Well, actually, because then really what happens, the clock stops.
Yeah, clock stops.
Everything else is always running all the time, but when the clock stops so much, then it becomes more like a regular football game. Guys, I've been kind of watching pretty closely, at least for the last couple minutes during that drive for Indiana, the crowd. And like we were talking about before, they're into it. Al, I know you were down here in the crowd and kind of sitting in the middle of them all. They're into the game. I mean, they're really paying attention. I think a lot of people are very curious as to what this thing is all about, and they're learning it as they go along, but they're definitely into it, and definitely, I mean, everybody loves their football.
Well, I think as this thing goes along, you know, it's like anything. You gotta, people gotta go back and say, hey, boy, we had a great time. The kids had a great time. It was a lot of fun. It's right in your face. A lot of scoring, a lot of action, and the next time it just keeps growing from there. I'm real pleased with this first crowd. It's not what you would like to have initially, but it's going to build itself up in, because once they become loyal fans, you're going to have them here every home game.
Well, the Voodoo will get the ball with 41 seconds left. Coach, in the AFL, is there really a 2-minute offense because there's only 41 seconds left in such a short field? You're still playing your same game plan, right?
Same game plan. You're always one play away from scoring. And then this kickoff, you can bring it back out to the 5, 10-yard line, 15. In 6 seconds, one play, you got another touchdown, kickoff, the clock stops, you kick off. There could easily be 3 more scores with 41 seconds left.
We're going to speak with AFL Commissioner David Baker during halftime, and he talked about that as well, where he has seen a team come from behind, and he only seen this once, but it happened. 21 points down with under a minute to go, come back and tie
looks like we're in some kind of a hands alignment up there. We have 6 players up there, 10, 15 yards from the ball and 2 deep.
All right, well, you kick off from your own goal line in the 50-yard field. So the Firebirds will kick off. Their kicker is Clay Rush, and back deep for the Voodoo is Aaron Bailey standing in his own goal line. Likely he'll play it off the netting. But the last time that the Indiana kicker, Clay Rush, kicked off, he kicked out of bounds, bringing the ball all the way up to the 20, which is just 5 yards away from midfield in this arena game. All right, he is set. He will kick from his own goal line. 21-16. New Orleans with the lead. Final 41 seconds of the first half. Line drive kick. Hard off the net. This comes all the way out to the 5 and is taken by Chris Pointer. Pointer breaks the tackle, breaks another, spins out forward almost to the 15-yard line before knocked down at the 14. And that one came hard off the net and all the way up to the 5.
That's why you got those 2 leveled, 2 deep players. One that fielded the ball soft under, that's what Aaron's place is. And obviously the Pointer right there catching that ball about 10 yards, 15, 18 yards off the net. So.
Yeah, and now it looks like they try to on kickoff get it as high as they can. And the Voodoo practicing in here yesterday, it looks like when they're trying to work on a Hail Mary type of situation like what took place last week in Philly. Right. They want to hit the net, but they want to hit the net low.
Yeah, passes are completed off the nets. The ball's live off the nets and has to be fielded in the kicking game.
I'll see Bailey again.
It's going to be just broken up in the last second. Nice defense there by Indiana's Anthony Garrett, their defensive back. And we have a
B.J. Cohen.
Yeah, we've had a couple of injuries in this first half. Tim Martin is out right now. He is being examined in the locker room, his shoulder, and Martin had a great first quarter, really pressuring the quarterback and getting in on the block field goal attempt. And also, we've had Bruce McClure was banged up, but he is back in the game. And so this two-way football takes its tolls. 8-on-8. 6 of the 8 players play both offense and defense with limited substitutions. Boy, this is a tough man's sport. All right, an incomplete pass. It's 2nd and 10 at their own 14 for the Voodoo. Fitzgerald with a screen pass left. Yeah, has his man down the sidelines, and that will be a first down to midfield before being tackled by B.J. Cohen. Cohen, nice job after returning it. Brings it out to the 25, and we will see the clock will stop with 27 seconds left. New Orleans up by 5 here in this first half. I guess he stepped out of bounds before he was brought down, just out of bounds. You will notice in the NFL, even though there are boards, there is a white out of bounds line, and if you step on that, you're out of play. So they mark it at the 21-yard line. Call it 3rd down and 3 for the Voodoo with 27 seconds left in the first half. New Orleans trying to add to their lead.
A good pickup by Fitzgerald on that play because the way the rusher was coming, he had to get away from his primary receiver, which was Bailey, and he went right at B.J. Cohen. Now he's having problems lining him up.
And Fitzgerald
They're going to have to call timeout.
He seemed a little upset at his receiver, Anthony Collins, there. I don't think Collins had the play down. And
it looked like Collins thought maybe he was the high motion guy, and you can't have 2 of them in motion because Aaron Bailey was all the way back 10 yards ready to run, and then Anthony was backing up, so you're going to have a procedure call. That was a good decision by John to make that timeout call, get organized. You got plenty of time to score from here, and we need to score.
We'll take a break with the clock stop. 27 seconds left in the first half. New Orleans leading Indiana 21-16. You're listening to Voodoo Football on 1350 AM WSMB.
From Glanville to Chalmette, Lake Charles to Slidell, the professions of your neighborhood are
back here as the clock is stopped. 27 seconds to go here in the opening half. Well, this gives Mike New, the Voodoo head coach, a little time to talk with his quarterback, John Fitzgerald, as they have the ball at their own 21-yard line, but only 4 yards from the midfield stripe of the 25. New Orleans leading 21-16, and on 3rd down, Fitzgerald has the play from his head coach, Mike New, and the Voodoo will try to convert here. Outstanding last week was Fitzgerald and the Voodoo, 8 of 11 on 3rd down attempts, including 4 touchdown passes on 3rd down conversions.
Touchdown.
Well, there's a complete pass to the left side. It will be a first down, and pushed out of bounds is Anthony Collins on the zip of a pass by Fitzgerald. It'll be inside Indiana territory.
And now, look like you saw what I saw. He wanted to go with Baylor. If he would have gone to Bailey, could have got a score on that. Bailey broke very clean on and had some separation real quick.
Yeah, and that the other DB sucked up on that out to really open up that left half of the field. But, take your first downs, use up the clock, and go score.
Collins goes out of bounds, stopping the clock. 23 seconds to go in the half. New Orleans up by 5. In motion, Bailey. And
defense offside, going to get a touchdown. Touchdown. Defense offside.
All right. Let's see here. The referee.
Defense offside. They jumped.
Well, Bailey's throwing it up, and he just broke past the defensive back. And there was no chance that he was going to be caught once he got by his man, and the call is going to be defensive offside. The touchdown will stand, and the Voodoo put some points on the board with 19 seconds left in the first half. But on a much more serious note, Aaron Bailey is still down on the field, and he is not the guy you want to see down on the field.
No, he's not. That's your offensive specialist. Yeah. Other than the quarterback, he's the other key guy on the offense that needs to be out there every offensive snap. It's called a choice or option, right? He goes down, he breaks off of what he thinks the defensive back is, and gets a little opening, and you throw the ball in there.
Extra point is good. So the score, with 19 seconds to go in the opening half, New Orleans leading 28-16. New Orleans only had 13 points last week in the opener at Philadelphia after the half, and still scored 42 on way to the 42-34 this half.
But you know, this is pretty much unknown, getting 28. You've got to be in the 50s and 60s pretty much consistent basis in this league to give yourself a chance to win. I think that block field goal really was a turning point in this first half of giving them an opportunity to score from the 2-yard line as well, take away points from them.
Well, the Voodoo, before they kick off, take a timeout, and for New Orleans, they will, I think
make a substitution.
Yeah, they want to make a substitution. Might do it last second. Well, if you got a timeout, you might as well use it if you want to do that.
Can't take them home, Chris. You can't eat them, you can't drink them, you got to use them, so.
Well, if you could drink them, it wouldn't be a bad after a game drink, but doesn't feel good after the game.
Not betting.
All right, looks like we are set. Brian Schmidt, the kicker, will do the honors for the Voodoo.
It looked like the Voodoo started doing more speed. They took out a big offensive lineman and put in either a wide receiver, defensive back guy. Not much time in this half, 19 seconds. Probably a good decision. Gets much speed out there to try to stop him down there inside the 5-yard line or 10-yard line.
Evan Lavisek is the deep man for the Indiana Firebirds. And again, he will be able to return. Comes off the netting. Looks like it would stay. He gets it out to the 5, to the 10, out to the 15. Tackled at about the 18-yard line. Has 5 seconds come off the clock, stopping it with 14 ticks left in the first half. New Orleans up 28-16. And a nice catch by Lavisek. I didn't think that was going to come back out.
You know, he did a great job because that ball, usually if it goes in between the goalposts, it's soft net when it falls. And he did a great job of fielding that ball and cleanly and coming out quick with it. Otherwise, they would have got it at the 5-yard line on a touchback.
All right, 18-yard line is the marking here. 1st and 10 for Indiana. They were looking for a very late score in this first half as they trail New Orleans by 12. Zimmerman, the quarterback. He is back to pass. Zimmerman looking downfield. The pass goes incomplete, intended for Brett Besh, the LSU graduate who is from South Louisiana, and it will be second. You don't want that guy out. All right, well, defense the Voodoo concentrating on right now for the final 9 seconds here in the first half, trying to take the 12-point lead in the locker room. Back to pass is Zimmerman. Horsek is deep. He's looking for him. He's got him in and out of his hands. Horsek, the lead, couldn't make the catch, and he had a step on the defender. Would have been a heck of a grab. We've got a flag down back at the line of scrimmage with 4 seconds left.
Illegal defense. You know, what that means is basically that the 2 linebackers, Jill and Mike there, cannot be any deeper than 5 yards and outside the box when the ball is thrown unless the quarterback comes out of the pocket or the ball is released by the quarterback. So that's a pretty typical call in this league. It can also be from lining up too wide on the line of scrimmage. You got to be able to see the shoulder width of the offensive lineman, and you can't be any wider than that. So
in this situation, Coach, the 5 yards really doesn't hurt the Voodoo because there's only 4 seconds left. So in essence, pending a penalty since the last play of the first half, New Orleans up 28-16. All right, let's see what the Firebirds do. They're going to send in motion back. Zimmerman back to pass. He's going to throw it to the right side. It's caught at the 20 to the 15. Pushed out of bounds is the receiver by New Orleans defender. Chris Kenyon. That is the end of the half as the crowd comes on their feet. The Voodoo at the intermission with an outstanding first half. 28 points up on the board. We're going to take a timeout and our halftime after this to score through 30 minutes. New Orleans 28, Indiana 16. You're listening to Voodoo Football on WSMB 1350 AM. What's that?
I'm really excited, real happy. I know the Voodoo got to be happy. They scored 28 points, which they're on schedule to be in the 50s, which you got to need to be competitive in this league. And it's still think that was a big turn of events on that blocked field goal. We converted it into a touchdown and blocked the PAT, which if this game comes down to a field goal, hopefully that'll have a big impact in winning the game.
We talked about the scoring drives. John Fitzgerald, the Voodoo quarterback, was 7 of 14 in the first half for 108 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and he also ran for a touchdown. Dan Curran, the fullback, touched the ball once, but he scored. Pretty good ratio right there. 1 run, 3-yard touchdown for Curran. Receiving, Aaron Bailey, 3 catches, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. We talked about those. Lamont Moore, 2 for 30. P.J. Cohen and Anthony Collins also caught a pass for 7 and 6 yards, respectively. Tony Zimmerman struggled early, the quarterback for Indiana. He was 7 of 16 in the first half for 79 yards. No touchdown passes, but he ran for a touchdown. All right, kickoff, half number 2. We are underway. Lavistek on the return, and he might go to midfield of the 20. Breaks the tackle. He is long gone, and Lavistek goes from one end to the other in the opening kickoff of the second half. And just like that, the Firebirds strike with only 20 seconds off the clock, which was the length of time it took him to scamper from one end to the other. And boy, that's how quick you can score in the AFL.
He broke clear. I mean, Schmitz, the kicker, the only guy that even had any kind of a chance, and he just ran right through him.
He didn't. Wasn't much tackling going on there by Smith on that one. Hopefully it doesn't get to him. But in the middle of the field like that's a tough spot. Take your shot, see if you can get him.
Extra point is through the 9-foot wide uprights, which is about half the width of an NFL upright on the goalpost. And the kicker, Clay Rush, makes no mistake on this one. And just like that, it's 28-23. The New Orleans Voodoo, with the 5-point lead as Indiana takes it the distance on the kick return to start the second half. We're going to take a timeout. We'll return with more as you're listening to the AFL. New Orleans up by 5. This is 1350 WSMB.
The hits keep on coming with Cox Sports Television, the Gulf South's own 24-hour sports network. CST will be the place to follow the New Orleans Voodoo all season long with 6 action-packed regular season games. Plus the weekly highlight show, Inside Voodoo, with head coach Mike New, will keep you updated on the new arena football team from the Crescent City. New Orleans Voodoo on Cox Sports Television. Don't miss it.
Chris Kenyon and Coach Al Everest from the New Orleans Saints special teams. And the coach, that was quick.
Well, that's the nature of special teams. It's just like in this game, it's really fast because that probably took 8 seconds to put 7 points on the board there. Now it's our turn.
Yeah, Indiana will now kick off from the end zone as we are just underway. Minute gone by here in the third quarter. 28-23, New Orleans in front. The kickoff goes off the net. It'll be taken by Bailey. Good to see him back. And he'll come forward to the 5. He's roughed up, gets to the 8, to the 9, where he is tackled before he gets to the 10-yard stripe, and New Orleans will take over first and 10.
That last touchdown by Indiana, that kickoff return, that kid never broke stride. He hit that, he got the ball and took it up the field and made a cut or two, and the next thing you know, he's walking in the other end zone.
Evan Lavistek with the return for the Firebirds. All right, John Fitzgerald will take the helm at quarterback. 7 of 14 in the first half for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. His fullback is Dan Curran. Bailey straight forward in motion. He'll try to bust past his man, but the pass goes to the right side, and it is caught and tackled on the play. Is that Tremaine Neal down there? Yeah, Tremaine Neal with a catch.
That's Tremaine Neal.
They will give Neal about 8 yards, and it will be second and short for New Orleans, marking at the 17-yard line, as the Voodoo will try to answer back on the kickoff return touchdown by Indiana.
I'll tell you, it can happen fast. Now, you have another option route there again off of Bailey, breaking on that post route. He made the out decision and picked up 8-9 yards there.
Neal is lined up left, and Bailey's in motion left. Fitzgerald back to pass. He'll roll right, looks way downfield for Bailey. The pass is short, and it is in and out of the hands of the defender, almost intercepted by Indiana's Anthony Derricks.
Well, it should have been intercepted. That's a break for the Voodoo right there that he didn't pick that ball off. There hasn't been any turnovers in this game other than the block field goal.
Yeah, and guys, when Bailey broke Fitzgerald had him. He just
He
took
late.
too long to pull the trigger and let the defender come over.
Yeah, he drifted out of the pocket, and then about time for the defender to catch up. Sure did, Ken.
Yeah, and he's struggling a little bit too, Fitzgerald is. He's got a bad bruise on the inside of his right forearm, his throwing arm, and it looked like he was cringing a little bit every time he was throwing in warm-up right before this half started.
Yeah, Kenny, stay close on that down there with Fitzgerald. The pass this time complete for a first down, and Bailey is pushed out of bounds across midfield to the sidelines at about the 20-yard line. They'll mark it at the 21. Folks, GoVoodoo.com is the website where you can actually go right now, and we can get interactive with the fans listening and going online. Go to the game day page, and we'll take questions. Here's one from Ed and Harvey. Coach Evers, you may have this one. On last week's opening kickoff return, Aaron Bailey made a move on a sole defensive player who then reached back with his leg and tripped him up. Is defensive tripping on ball carriers allowed in the AFL and the NFL for that fact? This game is quite a trip already. Enjoy the broadcast. Thanks, Ed. Hey, you can't trip the players, and I think they just missed the calls. What happened on that?
Missed the call. I don't think tripping's legal in any game, any football game.
No, NFL nor AFL. On first down, a handoff. Dan Curran will get not much. Back to the line of scrimmage, that is all. And it will be second down, maybe he even lost a yard. Second and 10 or 11 for the Voodoo. They're inside Indiana territory at about the 22-yard line. Of course, the 25-yard line is a mid-stripe here in the indoor game.
Kind of wondering if they would ever kind of go back to the ground. Al, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, it looked like there's a little confusion on that exchange right there. It wasn't a clean handoff. He didn't hit the hole.
It wasn't very smooth. They had some success on the ground last week, but obviously Indiana's showing them something that's keeping them from running the ball.
Lamont Moore is in motion this time, and Fitzgerald's looking for his man. Moore, will he make the catch? No, just too far in front of him. Moore thought he was held down at about the 5-yard line, deep inside the Indiana zone, but no call made on the play, and Moore not happy about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, now he had both of them open, I thought, right there. He could have probably picked up an easy 5 or 6 on the first out route, and he opted for the little deeper route, kind of flooded it out there. Didn't take advantage of the opportunity there.
Hey, guys, I'm telling you, his arm is not the same as it was earlier in this game. He had a lot of zip on the ball. He's not able to fire it downfield like he was doing earlier, and when he's throwing those intermediate routes and those short things, it just doesn't have much in it. He has to float it out there.
With the incomplete pass, it's third and long. Call 11. Bailey's in motion. Fitzgerald looking left. He's got Bailey to the end zone, up over his head, just a bit overthrown. He did have some zip behind that one, but it will go incomplete, and it's going to be fourth and long. Now, Coach, here's an interesting call. Do you go for a field goal, or do you go for the first down?
They're going to go for it here. Obviously, they just, Coach New just pushed us, or signaled Smith to stay back inside, and they're going to go for it here.
We are just underway in the second half. 9:45 and counting to go third quarter. New Orleans 28, Indiana 23. A 5-point Voodoo lead as the Firebirds cut the lead down from 12 at halftime, returning the kickoff for a touchdown to start the second half. All right, here we go. Fourth and 11 for the Voodoo at the 23-yard line, just inside Indiana's territory. Fitzgerald is set, drops back to pass. Looking for Moore downfield. Moore is held up again, he felt. No flag again, and the pass goes incomplete out in front of Moore. And that's twice now on the last 2 attempts for Lamont Moore. He felt he was held up.
Mike New down there really giving the refs a hard time. It was pretty obvious he was held, but obviously there's something the referee did not see or didn't think was worthy of making the call.
So it will be turned over on downs with the fourth down attempt incomplete. And with that, we will take a timeout as well, as there's a timeout on the field. New Orleans with a 5-point lead, but Indiana ball when we come back, as you're listening to Voodoo Football on WSMB.
I'm Henry Alterman of Alterman Audio. Alterman Audio is celebrating 31 years of sound advice with our 31st anniversary sale. When Alterman Audio has a sale, it really is a sale. Take, for example, the Boston Acoustics Receptor Radio. It's a clock radio with true high-fidelity sound. Regular price $159, on sale for just $99, with, of course, a free double warranty. Through a special purchase, we have a home theater system on sale. It includes a Pioneer Elite Universal DVD player that not only plays DVDs, but CDs, DVD-A's, and high-resolution Super Audio CDs. The Elite receiver has 100 watts per channel, and we've made it to a Boston Acoustics satellite speaker system with solid die-cast metal cabinets. Regular price of the system, $2,200, on sale for just $1,444. Sound out Ultraman Audio between Severn and Causeway. Ultraman Audio is now open on Friday nights to 8 p.m. Ultraman Audio, 31 years of sound advice.
Due to today's New Orleans Voodoo broadcast on WSMB, the regularly scheduled Home Improvement Show with Michael King will not air at its normal time. It will air in its entirety immediately following the game. Join Michael and his guest, Jeffrey Charlotte, the director of the Jefferson Parish Codes and Enforcements, on the Home Improvement Show this afternoon immediately following the New Orleans Voodoo game. That's the Home Improvement Show with Michael King, immediately following the Voodoo game on WSMB 1350 AM. Hear Matt Drudge with The Drudge Report, Sunday nights at 9 on Talk Radio WSMB 1350 AM.
Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host, along with Saints special teams coach Al Everest. We are in the third quarter. 9 minutes and 12 seconds to go. New Orleans leading by 5. They had a 12-point lead at halftime, and now with the turnover on downs, Indiana has it at their own 21-yard line. This is a pretty big drive here for momentum-wise, Coach.
Big time. We got it right now. We got to blow it up on defense, maybe get a turnover, do something, try to keep them from taking the lead.
And Kenny, when you get a chance, we'll come back down to you. Report on Tim Martin, who was banged up in the first half, who was one of their best defensive players. We've got a flag down. We've got a loose ball on the field, and
offsides.
Yeah,
I think we were offsides. Us in here.
Indiana gets the ball back as it's picked up by the fullback, Jared Penwright. And we will wait for the call. Offside is the call against the defense.
I think DJ Cohen was offside on that play right there.
That's the call, Coach. You got that one right. So it'll be 1st and 5 instead of 1st and 10 as the ball comes up to the midfield stripe and then a yard forward to the Voodoo 24-yard line, just over the 25 mid-stripe. We'll get some out-of-town scores here in a few moments. Boy, there's been some high-scoring games already in this league, but that is the AFL after all. All right, 1st and 5. It will be Zimmerman, the quarterback for the Firebirds. His fullback is Penwright, but Zimmerman back to pass, throws a bullet, caught to the 20, and then brought back a yard is the receiver on the play. Good defense there by New Orleans.
Good tackle by Montgomery there. That's a good short pass, good clean tackle. They only picked up 3 yards on that play, makes it 2nd here and 2, Chris. We need a turnover. We need something good to happen for us.
Monty Montgomery right on the play after Brett Besh, the LSU graduate for Indiana, makes the catch. So 2nd and short at about the 21-yard line for Indiana. New Orleans leading by 5 with 8 minutes and counting to go here in the third quarter. All right, Zimmerman is set. The fullback is behind him. That's Penwright again. And Zimmerman will look left. Quick pass, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Evan Lavisek. He should have had that one, but he did not hang on, and it will be 3rd and short for Indiana.
It'll be decision time here in a second. We get one more incomplete pass, put them on the, what are they going to do in a similar situation that we just had here?
This is a big down for these guys.
Big down right here.
This is Indiana quarterback Tony Zimmerman's first ever AFL start. He was the AFL 2 Player of the Year last season, and last week, the starting quarterback, Kevin Daff, went down, and Zimmerman came in relief. Indiana blew a late lead. They lost their first game 54-48. Zimmerman in his first start now on the 3rd and short. In motion is Horacek. Zimmerman back to pass, looking for Horacek, has him, caught at the 14-yard line and tackled immediately by New Orleans defender Calvin Coleman, but not before the first down catch is made. Indiana marching inside Voodoo territory.
You know, speaking of the quarterback, Daff getting hurt, and they've also got another backup quarterback that's hurt at this time, and Steve DeBerg petitioned the league to see if he could play this week. Now, that's
18 years in the NFL for Steve DeBerg, and he looks like he can still play.
Yeah, he thinks he's invincible. I'm not sure. There's a lot of passes for Steve right here.
Well, I think it was over 40,000 yards in his career in the NFL. Not too shabby. All right, 1st and 10 for Indiana. They're inside the Voodoo 15. Pass up the middle, caught, going down as he catches it is the receiver to the New Orleans 7-yard line as he's touched down by defender Lamont Moore of New Orleans, but the catch is made by Brett Besh, and it will be a gain of about 7 on the play. 2nd down inside the 10 now for Indiana, looking for their first lead since the opening field goal, which put them up 3-0 at the 9:27 mark of the first quarter.
Yep, again, we need all us fans need to be hauling turnover right here. Let's see if we can get a fumble or an interception down here.
Get up, make some noise, and let's help out this defense. All right, on 2nd down and 3, Zimmerman comes over center at the 7, inside the Voodoo 10. In motion is Besh, and the handoff is going to go to the fullback. Tackled immediately is Penrod. Oh, they were there again on defense, led by New Orleans' B.J.
echo, and the crowd came to life pretty good there. They got egged on a little bit by the PA announcer. Maybe that'll psych them up a little bit to do it a little bit earlier.
That was a good play right there. Good defense.
2-yard loss. That'll make it 3rd down and 5 at about the 9-yard line for Indiana, trailing the Voodoo by 5.
This team's a better team than you think. Last week they basically got beat on 2 defensive interception returns against them, and they scored some points.
An official's timeout as Zimmerman was coming up over his center to get ready to take the snap, and the Zebras are going to talk it over out there on the field, and Steve DeBerg will get a word with his quarterback. All right, it will be 3rd down, again at about the 9-yard line. 28-23, New Orleans in front. But Indiana trailing by 12 at the half took the opening kickoff of the second half all the way downfield, 50-plus yards into the end zone. For Evan Lavasek to cut the lead to 5, and now they're looking for their first lead since the opening quarter when they were up 3-0. Voodoo, they got other ideas. Here we go. Flags down before the play is snapped. Coach, I think this is going to go against the offense.
Tell you what, that's a good thing there was a flag, because that guy, that Indiana receiver on the left, had us turned around at the corner spot with Pointer. It would have been an easy touchdown for Indiana.
Yeah, false start against Mike Sutton, the lineman for the Firebirds, and it will be 3rd down now and 10 for Indiana at the New Orleans 14-yard line. Well, they're going the wrong way, the Firebirds, but I like to see it.
Sometimes that helps you in this league to get a little bit more room to get vertical routes and post and some corner stuff, so hopefully it'll help us, but it's not always the case in this game.
Let's see the play. Zimmerman is set, drops back the pass. He looks up the middle, now to the left, has his man open, diving and making the touchdown catch is Lavasek as he scores to put his team up by a score of 29-28. The Firebirds recapture the lead. Nice catch in the corner.
Big catch.
He turned us around. He ran that little post corner route right there, and when he broke on the post, the defender went with it, and when he went back to the outside in the corner end zone, he was wide open. It was a great catch, though.
Diving catch by Lavasek to give the Firebirds the 1-point lead, pending now the extra point by Clay Rush. The snap is there, the hold is there, the kick is up, and the kick is good. So, the first team to 30. Indiana with 14 quick ones in this 3rd quarter. We'll take a timeout as there's a timeout on the field. 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Indiana leading New Orleans 30-28. Back with more action right after this timeout.
Hey, Al.
Hello?
Thanks for meeting me at Wendy's. You're a real friend.
Right. Now, where's my $20?
First, you gotta take these home-style chicken strips home for me.
Wendy's presents some food for thought.
Where are you going?
Home? The problem is, I'll eat them as soon as I get in the car. Those tender pieces of whole breast filet and delicious sauce. If you take them, then I'll get to eat them at home.
Right.
Wendy's new home-style chicken strips. It's better here.
Hey, Al, where are my strips?
Funny thing.
You ate them?
Sorry. No, I'm not really sorry. Join Talk Radio WSMV 1350 AM this Saturday at 2 for the Home Improvement Show. It's your chance to ask questions, get answers, and learn from expert home improvement guru Michael King. The Home Improvement Show is brought to you by U.S. Home Improvement. Got questions about a home improvement project at your house? He's the king of home improvement, Michael King. This Saturday afternoon at 2, the Home Improvement Show on Talk Radio WSMV 1350 AM. Catch Bill Hendry weeknights 8 till 11 on Talk Radio WSMV 1350 AM.
Back at the New Orleans Arena, Chris Kenyon with New Orleans Saints special teams coach Al Everest. 30-28, Indiana with the lead on 14 unanswered here in this 3rd quarter. And with the Voodoo scoring 2 touchdowns in each of the first 2 quarters in the first half, Coach, they got to get this offense moving and get on the board.
Special teams to come back. Let's make a play right here. That's how they got the quick touchdown on us, and let's see if we can't get a nice return right here, get a little momentum going.
Firebirds to kick off from their own end zone at the goal line is where you kick off in the AFL. Aaron Bailey will be the deep man. Remember, folks, if you want to ask us some questions, go online to the New Orleans Voodoo website. The official website is govoodoo.com. Click on the game day page and we will talk about whatever we want to talk about. Ask us a question, and we'll talk about it here on the airs. We will go interactive with the fans on GoVoodoo.com. All right.
I love this kind of music. It always symbolizes something, fixing to happen. Maybe it'll be something fixing to happen for us.
So you're saying this is a good omen?
Good omen.
A premonition, if you will.
You got to feel it, Craig. You got to feel it.
Well, I hear you special teams guys are a bit clairvoyant anyway, so let's see if this comes to fruition.
It'd be the good time for it, too, right now. And we can't sit on 28 points. You can't do that in this league right now. You got to score.
There's no doubt. Indiana scored 48 last week and lost. They are 0-1. New Orleans 1-0. The Voodoo trying to improve to 2-0 on the season. Down by 2. All right, Rush is set to kick. It's a deep one. This one will come off the netting. Caught by Bailey in his own end zone. He'll break out to the goal line. Trying to cut the corner. Caught from behind at about the 6 or 7 yard line.
Down.
And he fumbled the ball, but yeah, I think he was down on the play. Nice tackle there by Indiana's Brett Besh, the local product here from South Louisiana and LSU. And boy, he caught Bailey from behind.
Sure did. If he'd have got around that corner, he might have taken that sideline for a big return.
Let's see what Fitzgerald and the Voodoo offense have in store here as they start from their own 6-yard line, now trailing by 2 points. Fitzgerald, the cornerback. Mario Evans is the fullback. In motion is going to be Calvin Spears, I believe, on the right side. Flags down. It's going to be against the defense. So we'll go for Spears. Yeah, he's got him. Spears drops the ball out of midfield as they were trying to connect on the 20-yard hookup. But I think we're going to get 5 free yards on this one, Coach. I think the defense jumped.
We'll take anything free right now.
John Fitzgerald, I said earlier, last week, he drew the defense off 4 times with a hard snap count, and he did it in the first half, and they jumped early here on this, so it'll be a 5-yard penalty against the Firebirds, and it will be 1st and 5 for New Orleans at the 11.
Chris, that play, what they do, that high motion, pretty much the defense kind of anticipates if he's going to snap it when the guy gets ready near the line of scrimmage, and the Voodoo has done a great job of double hiking the hike sound.
1st and 5, Fitzgerald up the middle looking for Bailey. Bailey turns right, the pass comes to the left as there was a little confusion between the two, and Fitzgerald was rushed on the play as well, so it will go incomplete. 2nd down and 5 for New Orleans with 2:25 and counting to go in the 3rd quarter. New Orleans trailing Indiana 30-28.
And they'll talk about it a little bit there, miscommunication on the route. He broke it in, and Fitzgerald threw it the other way.
Well, it will be 2nd down for Fitzgerald and the Voodoo offense. Mike New, the head coach, also the offensive coordinator for the Voodoo, on the field, on the sideline. He stands behind the play, and he brings the calls into Fitzgerald, who comes and visits after every play. And Fitzgerald gets the play, brings it over to the left side, caught by Bailey on the sidelines at about the 17-yard line before hit into the sideboards and out of bounds. But not before Bailey gets enough for the 1st down. It's going to be about an 8-yard catch. And it will be 1st down, Voodoo at their own 19-yard line, approaching the midfield stripe of the 25.
Keep moving the ball, find a way to score right now.
New Orleans down by a deuce, 30-28. Indiana with 14 unanswered here in this 3rd quarter, taking the 2-point lead after New Orleans had a 28-16 lead at the half. All right, on 1st down, Fitzgerald is set. 3 quick to the right. Pass goes to screen to Bailey. He hurdles 1, gets forward to about the 23 on an 8-yard pickup before knocked down by the defender, Delvin Hewley of Indiana.
He looks like he's starting to feel better and better. I'm talking about Aaron Bailey there. I mean, you could definitely see he had to get the cobwebs out of his head. He was kind of seeing stars for a little bit when he took that whack early on. But he looks like he's getting his legs under him and feeling better and better as this game progresses.
Be better. We got to score.
Yeah, and he's extremely important. I mean, he's probably the second most important next to Fitzgerald on the field right now.
Swing pass to the right by Fitzgerald, has his man open.
He's got room.
Touchdown.
Touchdown! Oh, Spears! Nice cut back to the outside on a quick pass to the right, and the Voodoo back in front as Spears and the Voodoo celebrate in the end zone. That was a much-needed strike right there, and John Fitzgerald on the swing pass right had his man, and Spears had to make open ground there, Coach Everson, he did.
That's some great blocking, downfield blocking. That quick screen pass like that, that was beautiful. That was some great blocking down the field, set up the blocks, got back outside for the touchdown, and boy, we needed it.
great vision by Spears, too. He took the block and then broke it back out.
Schmidt's extra point is up, and it is off the upright. No good.
You know, defensive kickers in this league, there's not an area for them to kick. You know, and in the NFL and colleges, a guy can get a net out, and they stand over the sideline, and they get the kick and stay loose and warm. And if you watch these guys, every time there's a timeout or a score, they'll get out and try to get a little leg swing in. And I can see it being hard to get out and be ready to go and kick it in that 9-foot area.
And Al, I think they're going to try to put some pipes up for the kickers out there when they build and get everything finished up at the new facility for them so that they can get some practice. But it puts it like 8.5 feet wide as opposed to 18.
9 feet wide, half of the NFL.
Half of it.
All right. Dr. Laura, weekdays 11 till 2 on Talk Radio WSMB, 1350 AM.
Back at the New Orleans Arena, Chris Kenyon along with Saints special teams coach Al Everest as we begin the fourth quarter of play. 34-30, New Orleans with the lead. 15 minutes left in regulation. Coach, I know you're going to head back down to the front row with your family. Thanks for coming up. I really enjoyed it. Some insight on the AFL, and
it's really a lot of fun. I mean, everybody's going to find out as this thing grows and grows and people come back talking about the game and the excitement of the game. And it's really, there's stuff to do all the time. I mean, they got music, everybody's having fun. It's a great family affair. I think this is really going to be a great thing for the city of New Orleans as well as for the Saints and Voodoo.
New Orleans Saints special teams coach Al Everest. Coach, good luck with the Saints this fall.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate
all right, kickoff as the Voodoo take the 4-point lead is up and through the uprights, but it will go out of play as trying to get the return on the play was the Indiana returner. Tremaine Neal did not, so they will start at their own 5-yard line as we are just underway, fourth quarter. All right, back to GoVoodoo.com, folks. If you want to write a question in on the internet, go to the website of the Voodoo, GoVoodoo.com. And here's one, dear Chris, if you need a guest to talk about arena history, including that of the New Orleans Night back in 91-92 when they played in the Superdome, then let me know. I've been following the sport since its inception in 1987. It is truly unique football. It is unique football. There's no question about it. Appreciate the note there. That's William from Thibodeau. And William, if you got some questions for head coach Mike New, every Tuesday night we will be on the air, 9 to 10 p.m. on WWL 870. It's the Mike New Coaches Show. Kenny Wilkerson's going to be the host. Mike New's here every week. Also, I'll be down every week at WWL 9 to 10 if you want to talk New Orleans Voodoo football, AFL football, and the history of the New Orleans Night. Kenny, you go back that far to the night?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it was fun, and this city really took to it. The problem was the second season they came out and everybody was pretty excited, and then they were 0-1, and then they were 0-2, and then they were 0-3. By about the time they got to 0-4, pretty much everybody gave up on them at that point. But the first season, it was they had a good team, they played well, they won a bunch of games, and everybody really liked it. And I tell you what, the reaction of the crowd was kind of starting to get a little quiet, you know, there before that last score. But it really kind of brought them right back into it when they got that touchdown. That was a good-looking play, and you know, the way that they were able the way that he was able to pick up his blocker and then kind of weave his way, Spears I'm talking about, into the end zone. Outstanding and very much recognized by the fans here as being a good play and good football.
Next week we will be in Atlanta. New Orleans taking on Georgia in a divisional game. New Orleans is in the AFL Southern Division. There are 4 divisions in the AFL. The Southern, of course we have the Eastern, the Central, and the Western. There are 5 teams in the Southern Division. New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Georgia, which is based in Atlanta, Orlando, and Austin. Austin also an expansion team. Last week, New Orleans and Tampa going 1-0 with a victory. The Voodoo in Philadelphia, 42-34. Tampa winning 52-41 last week. And Georgia and Orlando dropped their openers last week, 0-1. And Orlando actually lost last night to Austin. So Austin wins their first expansion game playing this week after getting the bye last week. They're 1-0 now, and Orlando drops to 0-2. All right, it will be Indiana football as we return to action. New Orleans leading 34-30. We are just underway in the fourth quarter. For the Voodoo, obviously, possessions are important. And on defense, anytime you can stop the opposing team from scoring at all, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal, you have won that possession.
Right.
It's not about field possession so much in this game. It's about stopping the opponent when they have the football. Last week, New Orleans scoring on 6 out of 10 possessions. And usually a team gets about 10 possessions in the AFL. So these last 2 for each team in this quarter, about 2, are going to be very important. We'll get it going here. First down pass by Zimmerman is complete on the left side. Horacek makes the catch, is tackled immediately out at about the 12 or 13-yard line, but not before he gains 7 or 8 on the play.
And no question about it, Chris. I mean, the possessions become critical at this point. Not like it's not like they're not critical at any juncture in the game, but definitely right now. And this is when, it's going to go down pretty quick. That clock's going to keep running. But when we get to that final minute, that's when it's also going to drag on forever. Right now, we got a tight ball game.
All right, it'll be 2nd down and 3 for Indiana in their own zone. Here's the Zimmerman pass. It is caught just over the 15 and tackled immediately as Brett Besh, as Monty Montgomery was there on the hit. It will be good enough for the first down. They needed 3. They got 4. And the chains will move for the Firebirds. Indiana trailing with the ball. 34-30, New Orleans has the lead.
And they've settled down a lot into this game. I'm talking about both these teams. There's not as much pushing and shoving as there was early on. I mean, they're just out there playing football right now. Montgomery kind of going for the big stick. Just missed disconnecting Brett Besh and the football.
And off on first down, not much at all for the fullback. Good defense again. Jared Penwright tackled immediately by the New Orleans defense. Abdul Salam in on the tackle to start it up for the Voodoo. Kenny, this guy's played a good game up front.
Yeah, he has. And Mike New's doing a good job of getting the rotation in and out, getting keeping fresh legs in there, and getting the fresh bodies up in there, as well as having to deal with injuries like Tim Martin early on with the shoulder. But Noah can play. It's just a question of stamina at this point, especially 13:06 to play in this game. Their legs will start getting a little queasy coming up here.
They'll give him a yard. It'll be 2nd and 9 for Indiana at their own 17. Zimmerman looks right side. The screen pass caught by Lavasek. Avoids one tackler. Thing gets nailed into the boards after a pick of about 3. Hit heavy on the play. Was that Tremaine Neal in there? Woo, nice hit.
Big hit right into the wall. Kind of thing everybody's looking for. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Jim Haslett and Tom Benson and a couple different people like that are sitting right about in that general area. Would it be interesting to see some player come flying off the field right into Mr. Benson's lap?
Well, I'd like to see Coach Haslett catch a football. I see him down there in the 2nd row. All right, here we go, back to business. 3rd and 4. They're going to say he gained 5 on the play for the
Horacek.
For the Firebirds. Yeah, they're looking his way, but it's going to be overthrown into the end zone down your way, Kenny, and it goes incomplete. It's going to be 4th down. Great coverage there by Montgomery. Right. He was within stride for stride.
Yeah, definitely. He turned and released just at the right time, ran stride for stride with him, and actually the ball was so far overthrown, one of the fans reached out and tried to make the catch, but he missed it.
4th down and 4, decision time for Indiana. They trail by 4. There's 11:55 to go in the 4th quarter. New Orleans has the 34-30 lead, and the Firebirds want to take a timeout and talk about it. So we will follow suit as well. 11:55 to go in the 4th quarter. It's a 4-point lead for the Voodoo. We'll be back after this timeout.
The hits keep on coming with Cox Sports Television, the Gulf South's own 24-hour sports network. CST will be the place to follow the New Orleans Voodoo all season long with 6 action-packed regular season games. Plus the weekly highlight show, Inside Voodoo, with head coach Mike New, will keep you updated on the new arena football team from the Crescent City. New Orleans Voodoo on Cox Sports Television. Don't miss it.
It's all about seeing her face. This is one Valentine's Day present that will never be forgotten. It came from the Hamilton Jewelry Company. Today, visit the Hamilton Jewelry Company and save up to 50% on every item of jewelry during their annual Valentine's Day sale. It's unmatched value with up to 50% off throughout the store. If you qualify, your Hamilton Jewelry Company professional will even show you how you can use 0% financing to spread your payments out over time. For over 20 years, people from all over have made the drive to the West Bank. Some do it for repairs, others for custom designs or one-of-a-kind pieces. Still others because the Hamilton Jewelry Company's expertise in diamonds is simply legendary. Choose the perfect gift, then sit back and watch your face. It's what Valentine's Day giving is all about, the annual Valentine's Day sale, now at Hamilton Jewelry Company, West Bank's premium quality jewelry store at 113 Lapalco in Gretna. The Hamilton Jewelry Company, your full-service diamond and jewelry specialist.
We're the home of arena football, New Orleans Voodoo. 1350 AM WSMB, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host for Voodoo football, as the New Orleans Voodoo have a 4-point lead. We are in the fourth quarter, 11:55 to go. It is 4th down and 4 for the Indiana Firebirds. They took a timeout to talk things over, and head coach Steve DeBerg, the longtime NFL veteran of 18 years, sends the play into his quarterback, Tony Zimmerman. And Zimmerman and the Firebirds look as though they are going to go for it here on 4th down.
Not quite sure what's happening here. It looks like they stopped the clock once again. They had wound the play clock. And Zimmerman came running out like he was in a hurry. Now they've stopped everything once again.
Yeah, I think they're going to put it back. 8 seconds came off the clock to 11:47. I think it's going to go back to 11:55. And, well, that's not so much relevant, those few seconds right now, as it is the situation. 4th and 4 for Indiana. All right, let's take a look and see here what we are going to come up with. The Voodoo defense looking for a big stop, holding the 4-point lead right now. We will get you some out-of-town scores momentarily. We have some final scores in. We'll get those in just a moment. And it is 4th and 4. All right, Zimmerman is set. Here we go. Voodoo looking to stop the Firebirds. The pass downfield is going to be caught to the 15 by Lavasek, as he had a step on his defender, Chris Pointer of the Voodoo, and Pointer pushes him out of bounds, but not before a big gain of almost 20 yards, and it will be 1st down for Indiana as they march across midfield inside New Orleans territory. The ball will be marked at the Voodoo 14-yard line. Some out-of-town scores from today. Tight one in Los Angeles. Los Angeles leading Las Vegas 42-41. That is after 3 quarters. Chicago up on New York 42-35. That's after 3. Some final scores in a moment. But on 1st down, the pass goes right. Look out. Lavasek is decked. He goes down, loses his helmet, as the screen pass will go for about 3 yards on the completion. Now that's AFL football.
Yes, it is. They're trying to run the screen there, trying to maybe do a little something the Voodoo did earlier on. Only the Voodoo defense just swarming over and just mauling this guy.
Seems as though on the screens and the runs, these short yard situations, the Voodoo defense has done an outstanding job against Indiana here today.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's, I think, comes from the conditioning. And Mike News spends a lot of time with this team working on conditioning. Again, we still got a little time to go, and I think we'll find out just how much they have left in their leg as this game winds down, as we're at 10:35 to play in the 4th.
Speaking of winding down, the play clock was doing just that, forcing Indiana to take another timeout.
Very, very uncomfortable, and I think it's affected some of his throws. He still got a little bit of zip on just now when he was warming up. He was throwing it pretty hard.
3 touchdown passes today for Fitzgerald, 4 last week. But it's Zimmerman with the ball, looking for a touchdown, into the end zone. The pass up in the air, batted down. Great coverage by Chris Pointer, the Voodoo defender, on his man, Mike Horacek, preventing the score, and the Voodoo keep the lead.
Big play by Pointer there, but also by Montgomery, because what happened was Besh was the guy coming in motion, and Montgomery came right up. When that motion guy's coming right at you, it's awful hard to go and press him at the line of scrimmage. Awful hard to really get a good hit on him, but he did, and just totally took Besh out of his pattern, made the quarterback Zimmerman have to go another route, and Pointer was there.
10 minutes to go and counting. We are in the 4th and final quarter of regulation anyway, and it's 34-30, New Orleans in front. Zimmerman, the Indiana quarterback, on 3rd down and 7 at the New Orleans 12-yard line. He drops back to pass, throws it up a lob to the right corner of the end zone, batted away at the last second. Great defensive play. New Orleans defender Calvin Coleman saves the touchdown as they were looking for Horacek again in the right corner of the end zone. 4th down for Indiana, and what is the call now? I believe we're going to see the field goal attempt come out. Great defensive play, 2 in a row, Kenny.
I think you're right, Chris. I don't think they're going to fool with it too much more. Go ahead and try to get some points in this thing and keep it close. Great defensive stand there by the secondary of the Voodoo. Big plays by all of them in those last couple plays.
Of this early season, this being the second game, I got to say that's probably the best so far.
Right.
The field goal attempt will be a 28-yarder from the 20. The end zones are 8. The kick is up, and it is through the uprights good as the field goal cuts the Voodoo lead down to 1. 3 points on the board. 34-33. New Orleans with the 1-point lead. Kenny, we're going to go to break. We'll come back with some comments from the bench after this. But as we take the timeout, New Orleans clinging on to the 1-point lead with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Catch Bill Hendry weeknights 8 till 11 on Talk Radio WSMB 1350 AM.
Back at the New Orleans Arena, Chris Kenyon, your host for Voodoo Football. New Orleans leading Indiana. The Voodoo trying to go up 2-0 in this early season, but it's a narrow one here in this fourth quarter. 34-33. Kick off the netting, and the Voodoo unable to return it. You have to catch the ball off the net. If you drop it, it basically becomes a touchback. And Chris Pointer, probably lucky he dropped it because he was falling down at his own 2-yard line. And we'll see where they spot the ball here. Well, are they going to spot it right at the 2? Yeah, I think
quite
so.
Sure, Chris. I know that Rush, he got the kick he wanted that he's been trying for all afternoon, trying to get it high into that net. Voodoo going to have to go the rest of the way without one of their better linemen in Tim Martin. He's got a strained bicep muscle, and he's already got the jersey off. He's done. They'll have to go without him the rest of the way.
That's a tough break, Kenny, because he may be one of the best two-way linemen in the league.
Right. He's a good football player, and they're going to miss him. They will definitely miss him as this clock is winding down. 8:27 right now. Big possession right now for the Voodoo and Fitzgerald.
1-point lead
before the play too. How's his arm? He said he's fine.
Yeah, they're deep in their own zone to start here. They're actually you mark the ball where it is dropped. If it's dropped by off the netting in the end zone, it's a touchback. Goes to 5. If it's dropped off the netting in the field of play, that's where you mark it. So it's at the 1-yard line. So it's incomplete. Fitzgerald on his first pass attempt into the crowd. Another souvenir for the fans, and it will be 2nd and 10 for New Orleans at their own 1-yard line, leading by a point. Time is ticking. Under 8 minutes to go in regulation. Crowd on their feet trying to encourage the Voodoo offense, trying to get out of their own end zone. Fitzgerald on 2nd and 10. Quick drop, slants it left, but it's up over the head of the fullback who came out from the backfield, Dan Curran, and it's incomplete. And it will be 3rd and 10. Rarely do you see a pass like that to the fullback.
Right.
And Curran couldn't make the play. It was a little slow in developing.
Yep. Had some room, too. Just kind of ball got away from him a little bit, Fitzgerald, but he had a little bit of room. Looked like it was a good play call there, just weren't able to hook up and can make the connection.
Boy, this could be interesting if they don't get any yards here back at their own 1-yard line. So it's 3rd and 10. Fitzgerald comes over center. In motion is going to be Neal on the right. Fitzgerald looking left, though. Upfield is pass batted down. Never seeing it was Lamont Moore. He didn't turn. I don't think he realized the ball was coming to him, and he never had a chance to make the catch anyway, but it was broken up by the defender of Indiana, Anthony Derrickson. It's 4th and 10 for the Voodoo, up by 1 from their own 1-yard line. And Mike New is pretty hot right now on the sidelines, Kenny. I'm not sure who he's talking to down there, but he is not very happy about the situation here.
Yeah, what he's upset about, I really don't know. I know that it was a pretty good play by the defender there as well, Delvin Dooley. I mean, he got up and knocked the ball away no matter what.
Look at this. You can't punt in this league, so the field goal attempt's just to try to get the ball downfield.
That's right.
And it's a long kick by Schmitz, and it will go out of bounds on the Voodoo bench, which is a flag, which means the ball will come out to the 20-yard line where the Voodoo, leading by 1, will go back on defense against the Indiana offense with now 6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Talk about a tight one, and this one could come down to the last possession, Kenny.
They usually do, and there's no question about it. The defense is going to have to step up here and try to limit these guys. The offense is going to get the ball at least one more time. There's no question about that, but the defense needs to limit their scoring in this possession.
GoVoodoo.com, the official website of the New Orleans Voodoo, will take your interactive questions. Click to the game day page on GoVoodoo.com. If you want to ask us a question in the broadcast booth, we'll be glad to answer. We've got one here that has me stumped, but we'll get to it in a moment here. Chris from Slidell, sit tight. We'll take your question as we have a timeout on the field, a referee's timeout. With the break, let's get to the question. Chris from Slidell asks, What is the best a new expansion team has done in their first season in the AFL? Excellent question. Kenny, Tuesday nights on WWL from 9 to 10 p.m., you and I, with head coach Mike New, will be taking calls throughout the hours. The Mike New Show on WWL 870 AM. We're going to answer that question on Tuesday night because I don't have time to go through the archives right now. We got a football game going on.
Right, that gives us time to look it up.
You're not supposed to give away the secrets. All right, 1st and 10 for Indiana from their own 20. Swing pass right, then cutting back the other way. Getting clobbered was the receiver. Great tackle by Anthony Collins of the Voodoo, and that's going to go for a loss after the catch was made by the Firebird receiver. Whew, nice tackle.
Absolutely. I'm not quite sure if you would call it a misdirection screen or anything, but, I mean, they had the whole Voodoo defense flowing one way. He starts coming back the other way. Collins just rips through his block and makes a big-time tackle. Big stick.
They'll give him back to the line of scrimmage. That was Scotty Lindsay making the catch. 2nd and 10, Indiana from their own 20. They trail by 1. Back to Paz Zimmerman, zips it forward, caught, getting behind his man, is Horacek. He's going to break free down to the 5. Does he get to the end zone? Yes, touchdown.
Flag on
Firebirds, a flag on the play. I think it's going to be a face mask against the Voodoo defense, but right now the score stands, and Indiana will recapture the lead pending the call, which from up top looked like the face mask against the defense. Boy, Horacek made the catch, and well, when you gamble on defense for the interception and you miss, that's what happens. Horacek behind you sprints to the end zone for the touchdown.
I think it was Lamont Moore. Lamont Moore. He definitely went for the ball, tried to play the ball, just missed it, but that's exactly right, Chris. I mean, when you take that chance and you're taking a gamble, I mean, it can be a matter of inches sometimes between disaster or just a huge play. In this case, it's disaster, and Indiana once again regains the lead, trying to make it 40-34 here with the extra point, and they do.
Kick is up and good, so the Firebirds recapture as we go back and forth in this 4th quarter. That puts Indiana up by a score of 40-34 with the clock stopped. 4 minutes and 58 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. After the touchdown, timeout on the field, we will follow suit. You're listening to Voodoo Football with Indiana leading by 6. Can the Voodoo come back? We'll see after this.
Catch the Radio Factor with Bill O'Reilly. Weekday afternoons 2 to 4 on Talk Radio WSMB 1350 AM.
As we come back, Bailey trying to bust one open out to the room. Right side. Out of bounds on the sideline, almost to midfield by the kicker, Clay Rush, as we return to action here at the New Orleans Arena, putting the big crowd on their feet as the Voodoo trying to answer back from the Indiana score as the Firebirds lead 40-34. We are down to the final 4.5 minutes.
Got the crowd right back into it. Tell you what, too, Chris, that kickoff actually almost hit the scoreboard. With the screens and the replay screens in it up there that they have, you know, for basketball and everything, where the score is and where the running clock is. But that ball almost hit it.
The ball's going to come back to the 14-yard line on the illegal block on the return. So the Voodoo will not start at the 24. They'll start at their own 14-yard line here in this 50-yard field. If we do the math real quick, that's 36 yards to pay dirt, down by 6. Here's Fitzgerald on 1st down, scrambling, pressured. He's going to throw this one up into the crowd. Smart play as he gets rid of it, avoiding the sack before he could find an open receiver. It will be 2nd down and 10. Now remember, in the AFL, the clock continues to run until the final minutes. And then you go back to regular NFL time rules where an incomplete pass stops the clock, out of bounds stops the clock. It doesn't stop the clock, though, on a rushing play or an inbounds play. But so we're ticking down. Under 4 minutes to go and counting. New Orleans down by 6. It will be 2nd and 10 for Fitzgerald and company. He is set, in motion. Believe that is Neal left side. Fitzgerald looking for him. Makes the catch. Neal tackled immediately after a pickup of about 6 or 7 on the quick drop and throw by quarterback John Fitzgerald of the New Orleans Voodoo.
And it doesn't take long for them to kind of do what they're doing here. Kind of what looks like what they're going to try, kind of dink and dunk it down the field. You only need 2 or 3 of those before you put yourself into scoring position. Clock continue to run at 3:18. I'll tell you another thing, Chris. I noticed last week in Philadelphia that the crowd obviously goes for the footballs that come into the stands, but it's going to be a little different here in New Orleans. People here are used to catching things, especially around Mardi Gras time, and fighting for stuff. That last ball that went into the stands, I mean,
there was a good 15, 20 arms, 20 people going up trying to get that ball. I don't think you'll see that anywhere else. I think you'll only see that here in New Orleans.
Throw me something, Mr. Fitzgerald. Is that what they're asking?
No question about it. That is going to big time catch on in this city. The ball's going into the stands. Everybody wanting to get down low where they can try to get a chance at one.
Kenny, that was on first down. The second down connection to Tremaine Neal for the Voodoo goes for 8 yards. So it's going to be 3rd down and 2 for New Orleans at their own 22-yard line. They need to get to the 24, which is 1 yard away from the midfield stripe of the 25. Voodoo trailing by 6 as we are under the 3.5-minute mark. They're resetting the clock. So we are now set back. The time starts. Fitzgerald over his center. 3 lined up to the right. Bailey is in motion. He cuts forward, trying to cut back. Fitzgerald is pressured. He tries to move forward. Look at him stretch to maybe the first down yet. He is ripped from behind by the face mask, and that's going to be a penalty against Indiana, giving the Voodoo a first down, even if Fitzgerald did not get it, as they discuss it over.
His face mask, and he'll get the first down on this.
Great effort down there by the quarterback, John Fitzgerald. That'll move the chains.
Too bad this isn't the NFL on that particular call, because it would be 15 yards.
Yeah, this one goes, he really got a hold of his face mask. That could have been costly. Fortunately, Fitzgerald, he's tough. He's big. He's about 6'4", 240. He's all right. And it'll be first down Voodoo inside Indiana territory. Mark it at the 16-yard line as the Voodoo down by 6, trying to tie this thing up. And pending an extra point, recapture the lead. Yeah, we had some motion on the offense before the ball was snapped. That's a tough penalty to take, and it will go against New Orleans, I believe, making it 1st and 15.
That's the kind of thing that drives any coach crazy. Mike New obviously not real happy right now, but nobody was there to pick up Bailey. They could have had a big play there.
Aaron Hamilton was the lineman for New Orleans that moved early, moving the ball back to the 21-yard line, 1st and 15. Under 3 minutes to go. 40-34 Indiana in front. The Voodoo trying to move to 2-0 in this early first season under head coach Mike New. Fitzgerald comes from the sidelines where he gets to play from his head coach Mike New, who is also the offensive coordinator. New gives Fitzgerald the instructions. Bailey starts about 12 yards back from the line. He'll move forward. Bailey with a gust of speed. It's going to go to the left side. Oh, that's going to be caught by Calvin Spears. And he lost the ball right in front of the Voodoo bench inside the 10-yard line. After he makes the catch, Indiana will take over on a big play by the Firebirds defense. Oh boy, talk about a big one. Nice catch made by Calvin Spears, but the turnover, first of the season against the Voodoo, could be a costly one. Only 2:05 to go. Indiana will have the ball up by 6.
Just got the helmet right on the football. One of those things that, he had it tucked. Sometimes you just can't do anything about fate, if you will, and that helmet just hit right on the ball. Mike New's still working on the referees down here a little bit. I'm not quite sure what he's talking to them about. Something, a call that he wanted them to make that they may have missed. I don't think it had anything to do with maybe saying the receiver was down. I think it was something about back at the line of scrimmage.
3 timeouts left for the Voodoo. We'll see when they decide to use them. But Indiana looking for yards, incomplete on 1st and 10 on Zimmerman's pass, intended for Brett Besh, and it will be 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 10-yard line, and it will be 2nd down for Indiana inside their own territory. Clock is ticking down to 1 minute and 20 seconds. Looks like Mike New is not going to use any timeouts before the 1-minute warning. And down by 6.
No, and the warning is going to come.
This is a must-stop situation for New Orleans, you would think. And I don't think we're going to get a playoff before the warning, are we?
No, there won't be a play go off.
There was a 1-second differential. There was a 1-second differential on the play clock, which is 25 seconds in the AFL, which started basically with 1:24 to go. So that brings us down to the 1-minute warning where we will take a break. Indiana leading New Orleans. The Voodoo trying to rally here in the final minute. It's 40-34. Back with the last.
Radio Factor with Bill O'Reilly. Weekday afternoons 2 to 4 on Talk Radio WSMB 1350 AM.
Back at the New Orleans Arena, Chris Kenyon, your host. Final minute of play in the 4th quarter. New Orleans just turning the ball over. inside the 10-yard line, looking for the tying touchdown on a fumble after a catch made by Calvin Spears. The situation now is 2nd down and 10 for Indiana at their own 10-yard line. And for Mike New and the Voodoo, a lot can still happen in the final minute of play. That's one thing you always stress in the AFL. But I'll tell you what, I think Coach New would like to still have that ball in his possession as they were marching down to try to tie it and take a lead on in the extra point. 2nd and 10 for Indiana. GoVoodoo.com is the official website of the New Orleans Voodoo. And every broadcast this season on the radio station, we will take your questions. Go to the website, GoVoodoo.com, click on the game day page, and type in a question. Email it to us, and we'll answer them up here in the booth. Well, it looks as though coming back from the break for Zimmerman and the Firebirds now in the final minute, as there's exactly a minute left. NFL time rules apply. Incomplete passes stop the clock. Out of bounds stops the clock.
Voodoo players asking the crowd to come to life, and they do.
They're on their feet, everybody here, trying to give their team a lift on defense. 2nd and 10. Zimmerman is set. Quick pass is caught up the middle by Besh. He's tackled out to the 15. Brought down after a gain of 5 by Chris Pointer, the New Orleans defensive back. And that will keep the clock moving. However, timeout taken by the Voodoo with only 51 seconds remaining as 9 seconds come off the clock. Voodoo with other ideas. Again, crowd on their feet. 3rd and 5. Zimmerman is set. In motion. Horacek on the snap. Zimmerman back. Looking left side. This one well over the intended receiver. Too far out in front of Horacek.
Big time, Chris. Just leveled Brett Best coming off the line of scrimmage. He was the guy in motion. Best going immediately to the referee looking for the call, but that was a big-time stick by Monty Montgomery. Just totally broke up that play.
Well, Kenny, here's a big play now. 4th and 5 at their own 15. It's going to be a field goal attempt for Indiana. Clay rushes the kicker. You cannot punt. So if he puts it through the uprights, it's a big cushion.
Their last kick was a low snap. Brett Best did a good job of scooping it off the ground and getting it up for the kicker, but it was low last time around. Let's see how they do it this time.
Officially, it would be a 51-yard attempt. Besh is the holder, rushes the kicker. Down by 6 to Voodoo. 45 seconds to go. Flag on the play here before the snap comes in. It's going to back them up even more. And this crowd is as loud as they have been all day. This game far from over.
No, absolutely, and they're getting into it. That's the one thing that we kind of noticed in the early onsets of this game. The crowd is into the game, paying attention to what's happening on the field, and very much so. The defense calling them up to their feet on 2nd down before, and they've been on their feet ever since.
Listen to this crowd on their feet as loud as they've been all day after the penalty. 5 yards deeper. Now the spot is their own 10, so it would be a 56-yard attempt for the kicker, Clay Rush. He's just trying to get it as deep as he can.
He had a big kick off before, but this is the long one. Good snap.
Here's the kick. It is up. Does it have the distance? It's going to be close. It is just good over the uprights. It looked like it went under the uprights. Kenny, the referee there made a mistake on this one. I can tell you for sure that went under the crossbar.
I don't think they've signaled what it is yet. Mike New down there arguing about it.
They signaled good.
No, they're singing no. Now they're signaling no good.
Right when the kick went behind the referee who was standing below the bar, he said good, and it went underneath. They turned around the call, and the score holds 40-34. Hey, good job by the referees to change the call after making the wrong call. You still got to get over that crossbar, and it went underneath it.
That's
so
right.
For the Voodoo, they will start at their own 5-yard line with 39 seconds remaining, down by 6. Here we go.
It looked like they were going to argue it pretty good down there, the Indiana.
Well, Mike New came storming up there, and as soon as that call was made, that it was good.
Well, it looked like Indiana's coaches were going to come out and argue, but then they showed it up on the big screen, and it was very clear that it went underneath the crossbar.
All right, here we go. 39 seconds to go. The Voodoo need 45 yards to tie this game, trailing by 6 here in their home opener. In motion is Neal. Fitzgerald back to pass from his own end zone. Going deep. Has Neal.
Got him.
Up on the defender. The catch is
incomplete. He dropped it.
Incomplete. He was covered going down, trying to make the catch. Couldn't hang on. Neal and it will be 2nd and 10. Kenny, you had a pretty good beat on that play. Did he almost have it?
Oh, yeah, he had it, but it was an excellent play by the defensive back, turning around and kind of breaking up. It looked like he came down with it, but the defender also came down and knocked it out of there.
Oh, boy, that was close. Almost hanging on Tremaine Neal on the bomb by Fitzgerald. 2nd and 10. Voodoo, 32 seconds remaining. They need 45 yards to pay dirt, starting from their own 5 here, trying to tie this, trailing by 6. Fitzgerald comes over center. Bailey will go in motion. Flankers left and right. Fitzgerald
Bailey's got room. He's got it. He makes the catch.
The catch is made, and then he's pushed out of bounds. Let's see where this ball is marked. They needed to get to the 15, and it stops the clock with 26 seconds to go. It's going to be marked right at the 15, and it's going to be good enough for the first down for the Voodoo. Now 35 yards to go with only 26 seconds to go. New Orleans trying to rally here in the final minutes.
I would think that they're going to try to get Bailey lined up on the other side on this next play and try to get him coming in that motion again and break it to the right, break it to the inside like he did on the play right there where they pick up the first down. I mean, he definitely had him right off the get-go. They're signaling the Voodoo players for the trainers to come out and give him a little drink of water. Obviously, Fitzgerald needs to keep his cool. He's good at that. He's shown pretty much in the last week and so far in this game that not much rattles him. That's what Mike New has talked about all through the offseason, and that's what one of the biggest things he does.
Fitzgerald, he drops back the pass, looking deep again. There's Bailey, goes up, makes the catch, tackled inside the 15 on a great pass by Fitzgerald. And for the Voodoo, they will be in business at the 11-yard line with 18, 17.
And the clock is running.
Clock is running. They're going to down the ball, Fitzgerald down to 16. And Fitzgerald will wait. The clock is not moving now.
Yeah, they've stopped it.
They have stopped it.
Now they're giving it to him.
And he drops the ball immediately, so that will take a second off, stopping the clock with 15 seconds left for the Voodoo. They have it at the 11-yard line, trying to tie this game, trailing 40-34. Everybody in the New Orleans arena on their feet right now.
Big strike by Fitzgerald to Bailey. And you just kind of felt it, knew going into that play, Bailey's the guy that he wants. And when he constantly fires that fast, he's got the mark that he wants, he's got the target that he wants. And that's going to be critical to watch right here with Fitzgerald. When he gets the ball and he sets up, how fast does he fire away? Because if he fires quick, he obviously sees what he wants. I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to maybe do something
this
with
play's
DJ
looking
Cole
to
here.
explode right now. Here's Fitzgerald with a cover here.
Oh, they're going to go defensive interference.
Flag down on the play, and that will bring the ball down inside the 10-yard line. No question about it that Tremaine Neal was held up on the play in the right corner as this crowd is looking to be sent into a frenzy. The clock is stopped on the penalty with 11 seconds remaining, and it's going to go against the defense of Indiana. It's a 5-yard penalty on the defensive holding, moving the ball just outside the 5-yard line, and it will be an automatic first down as well. So a fresh set of downs, maybe 2 or 3 plays left.
Different than the other, it doesn't give you first and goal. Because that kind of ball does not give you first and goal. It gives you first down, but not first and goal when there's defensive pass interference in the end zone like that.
Fitzgerald is set. Bailey in motion. Looking for the tying score here. Under 10 to go. The pass to the end zone. Up and off the wall. And this one will drop incomplete. Remember, that's a line ball, folks. As that one off the net and came all the way out to about the 5. That ball is still in play. But it does drop incomplete, and it stops the clock. It took 6 seconds to get the play off. There are 5 seconds remaining, maybe 2 plays left. Maybe this is the final play. That one took maybe more time, I think, than Mike New wanted. I think he was looking for about a 4-second play. That one took 6 seconds, only 5 remaining.
Yeah.
Second down, spotted at the 5-yard line. Fitzgerald in the huddle to call the play.
He does have a timeout left, but I don't think that matters now. Had it not taken so long for that play to go off, Fitzgerald didn't have what he wanted. Bailey was the guy in motion, as he usually is. He did not break clean right off the snap and right off the ball so close inside. Fitzgerald just couldn't find an open receiver. Finally let it kind of slung it in there, and they're lucky that ball did bounce off the bars of the net. It was live, and they almost picked it off.
Timeout, an injury timeout right now, as one of the Indiana defenders is down on the field. Well, here's the situation, folks. It all comes down to this. Indiana leading New Orleans 40-34. The Firebirds up by 6 on the Voodoo. 5 seconds remaining. The ball is at the 5-yard line. That's the distance John Fitzgerald and the Voodoo offense need to go here to tie this game and try to get an extra point onto victory here in the first ever Voodoo game at the New Orleans Arena. Kenny, did you catch the number on the player down?
I'm sorry, Chris.
Did you catch the number on the injured Indiana defender?
No, the way that he's laying right now, I can't see him. It looks like they're finally sitting him up. It's okay. Now I got to look at him. It's
Delvin Hewley. Well, we're going to keep it right here. We certainly aren't going to go anywhere, as the final 5 seconds could be one that could be remembered for a long time in this city. Bailey, obviously, the #1 go-to guy, but there's not as much room down there, Kenny. Well, once you get close to the end zone,
right,
it's a little harder once you get down this far.
And that's what happened with Fitzgerald on that play right there, where he couldn't find the open receiver. I mean, it just was, there's no room for anybody to move around, and the receivers can't necessarily work back to the quarterback. Plus, there's no way there's enough time.
Don't be afraid to go tell the clock operator to start this one a little slowly, too, here at home. 5 seconds to go. You'd like to see 2 plays if necessary.
And listen to the crowd kind of getting into this on their own, coming up with a voodoo chant here.
Well, this is certainly a great way to finish a football game in the AFL, and it happens to be in the first game here in New Orleans as the Voodoo looks to move to 2-0. What a great start this would be if the Voodoo can pull this one off in the last second. Hewley is still down on the floor, and this is giving everybody a breather. And in the last 5 seconds of an AFL game, when the game's on the line, everybody needs a breather, but the crowd.
Right, and they, everybody's down there. Even the Voodoo trainers have gone over and being helped out today by some of the Saints trainers. Scotty Patton, the Saints head trainer, out there helping out as well. Looks like he may have broken a bone or something. Definitely in some pain.
Hewley's going to walk.
His hand was the injury. He probably got banged in between 2 helmets.
All right, well, he's going to walk off through the end zone. They will close the gates there, and here we go. Now, you're charged with a timeout if you have an injured player down, unless you take him out. And that's, well, he comes out, so...
They actually not only took him out, took him away, probably taking him straight underneath and going to the rooms with the x-ray machine.
All right, here we go. Perhaps the last chance for the Voodoo, down by 6. 5 seconds to go at the 5-yard line, looking to tie this game. Fitzgerald, the quarterback. He is set. Bailey is in motion. Bailey to the line of scrimmage. The ball is snapped. Bailey in the end zone. Here's the pass. Oh,
interference again.
Doesn't make the catch, but yes, interference is called as flags go all over the place with 1 second left, and not a bad play on defense. You have to do everything you can to keep the player from catching the ball, and an interference right now is better than a touchdown. But it will give the Voodoo the ball with 1 second left, one more chance, as they will push the ball half the distance to the goal line to about the 2.5-yard line.
Yeah, there was no question he was held in him. I kind of wonder he probably could have caught that ball had they not tied his hands up like that.
Wow, talk about a thriller here to start the season in New Orleans. Last chance. This will be the last play of the game, pending another defensive penalty. Fitzgerald on the sidelines talking with Mike New. Now, New Orleans has a timeout left. The play clock hasn't even started yet, so he probably will not need to take it, as there's a 25-second play clock. And here we go, folks. This is it. Voodoo down by 6. They need a touchdown for the tie and the extra point for what would be the win, because there would be no time left on the clock if they can punch this one in. Now, they're going to let it run down. Are they going to take the timeout, Kenny? They're letting the clock run down on the play clock down to 5 seconds now.
I think they've already told him that. They signaled for the timeout right there.
Stop the play clock with 1 second left, and the Voodoo and Mike New will take their final timeout of the game on what's coming up to be the final play of the game, trying to tie this one up and maybe win it on the extra point.
I think this has as much to do with trying to get his players as much rest as he possibly can in between plays here. Bailey, that was a good-looking play they ran there. Bailey coming from all the way around, kind of a long wind, kind of a half-moon motion, if you will, and then coming back across the field. A lot of energy used on that play. Again, he had a chance to make the play. He had a chance to make the catch.
Is this great or what?
Oh, he's a good football player. As we were talking about earlier, I mean, Aaron Bailey is a better receiver than than Mike Ditka ever had on his football team. I'm not saying he's better than any of the Saints receivers, but when the Saints had Mike Ditka controlled, Aaron Bailey would have been the best receiver on the field.
All right, here we go. It is first down, ball at the 2.5-yard line, 1 second left. Voodoo down by 6, trying to tie this one up with a touchdown. Fitzgerald is set. Bailey's in motion. Bailey gets bumped on the line.
And they're going to hold him again.
And
they're going to hold him again.
In half the distance once again as time has expired. But another flag down, and it looks as though the Firebirds are doing anything and everything they have to do to not allow a catch here in the final play of the game.
I mean, there's no question they know what's happening there, that they want to go to Aaron Bailey with the football. And, I mean, he's immediately grabbing him as soon as he comes off the line of scrimmage. He's going to deny him the ball.
Kenny, this is interesting now because with the ball going down to about the 1.5-yard line, this brings the run into play. So the Voodoo now have another option on offense if they so choose. There is no time left on the clock. And for the Voodoo, Mike New and John Fitzgerald, New the head coach, Fitzgerald the quarterback, talking it over as the referee will start the play. The 25-second clock will start, but there's no time on the clock.
And they're, the Indiana players talking amongst themselves. That's the pretty good thing about this game. You're so close, you can almost watch them and hear what they have to say. They're talking about watching the draw, watch the draw.
Out of the huddle, here comes
talking about the run already.
To the line of scrimmage.
He is jumbo here.
3 to the left, 1 to the right. It is pitched.
What a current. He's got it.
On the extra point here, they'll spot it at the 10. Give it a minute, Kenny. We'll get back to you in a second. Schmitz has said the holder is Jermaine Alford. For the win, and the Voodoo to go 2-0. The snap is there. The hold is there. The kick is there. Good! I feel as the celebration begins in New Orleans. Holy cow, what a game. This place is going crazy. This isn't the arena ball. It just seems like the arena ball. Let the party begin. Wow, I'll tell you what. I've seen enough to say I've seen it all. Hey, you knew they were going to cover Bailey. You knew the Firebird defense was not going to let Aaron Bailey catch the ball. So Mike Boo says, we'll give it what they take. And they took it into the end zone on the right sweep by Dan Cohen. 41-40, our final score in the Voodoo defeat the Indiana Firebirds. Stick around, folks. We're going to have a heck of a post-game show right after these messages. Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host for the post-game celebration. What a win here today at the last possible second. As time was expired, the New Orleans Voodoo score a touchdown. Dan Kern, and the extra point converts for the 1-point win. The Voodoo defeat the Indiana Firebirds 41-40, improving to 2-0 on the season. Kenny Wilkerson is down on the field with winning quarterback John Fitzgerald, amongst others. Kenny, what a game here today.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. We're also going to try to grab Dan Kern, who just wrapped up doing an interview on TV, but I wanted to talk to John first. John, they looked like they were trying to do everything they could to take Bailey away from you, grabbing, holding, but the referees made the calls, and then y'all made the switch and tried to get Kern around the outside, and it worked.
You know, anytime you got a weapon like Dan, I mean, Thunder Dan on the edge, he is so fast. Our line made a great block hooking the end, and it was just a walking. I mean, he is a phenomenal runner, but they have to worry about Aaron, and that's what set that play up.
This is the kind of situation also where not having a lot of games under your belt, a lot of film, they don't really have a lot of situational stuff to look at what you might do with that. Their defenders were saying, watch the draw, watch the draw. I don't think they had any idea you could try to send this guy around the corner.
You know, whenever it all boils down to it, we had to make plays at the very end. I ran a crossing route to Aaron. We massaged it, worked it all the way down till we got down in a position to score. And, you know, it's just, you know, Mike making some great calls. We're going to put ISO Aaron, you know, on their guys. And when we get down there on the 1-yard line, there's really not much you can do. It's hard to throw the ball when you get down there, but, you know, that's why in the free agency period they went out and got a guy like Dan, so we didn't have to worry about throwing.
2-0 now, heading
to Georgia next week. How are you physically, and what do you think this will do from a confidence standpoint?
Right now I'm beat. You know, and it was so awesome to get a win like this under our belt early in the season. So now when the close ones come, we know that we can go out, we know we can drive down the field when it needs to be. You know, hopefully the fans got a taste of what arena football is all about. We came out, 25, 30 seconds, however much time was left, and we scored a touchdown to win the game. And that's what it boils down to. And you got to give credit to Schmidt. I mean, to make that kick with no time left, you know, it's a tie ball game. That's to win the game. That's huge for us. Big time.
Thank you, John. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, John Fitzgerald down here. And I tell you what, Chris, they're going to bring most of the players and bring everybody into the locker room right now. And we'll talk some more as they bring the players in, and then they'll start bringing them out. We'll do some more interviews. We'll catch up with Dan Curran and also, of course, head coach Mike New.
Okay, Kenny, yeah, appreciate that, Kenny. Boy, look at the mob of people down there. It's a swarm. Part of the fans' Bill of Rights in the AFL is post-game autograph session on the field with every team after every game. And this is really the most fan-friendly league in this country, the AFL, and it shows right here. And this place just completely went into a frenzy on the Dan Curran touchdown run with time expired. The play clock expired in the prior play, but because of a penalty on the Firebird defense on a holding call as Aaron Bailey was wrapped up, they were not going to let Aaron Bailey catch the ball. Penalty was called. Actually, 2 in a row were called on the last 5 seconds and then in the last play of the game. So with no time left, they decided to sweep to the right, and Dan Curran busted Thunder Dan, as John Fitzgerald just called him, untouched into the end zone to tie the game, and Brian Schmidt, who had missed an extra point earlier in the half, comes through in the clutch with the PAT, point after attempt, through the 9-foot-wide uprights to give the Voodoo the 1-point lead. Speaking of Voodoo, we're in the post-game show. We'll still take your questions from the website. We've had a pretty good amount of them in today. Click on the internet, go to govoodoo.com, the official website of the New Orleans Voodoo, and email us a question. We'll read it over there here in the post-game show, as we'll take questions in the postgame. We're going to take a timeout right now. We'll come back with a scoring recap. Final score on the last play of the game. The New Orleans Voodoo improved to 2-0. They defeat the Indiana Firebirds 41-40. Stick around. Much more here from the New Orleans Arena right after this. We'll close here in the first ever New Orleans Voodoo game at home. And the Voodoo, the expansion franchise, 2-0 on the season after what could be one of the most dramatic football games that you're going to see in this city in a long time. 41-40 on the last play of the game. The Voodoo tie it on a touchdown run by Dan Curran, and the Brian Schmitz extra point gives the Voodoo the 1-point victory with no time left on the clock, moving the Voodoo to 2-0 on the season. Folks, we're going to open up the phone lines here in the post-game show. If you've got a question for myself or Kenny Wilkerson, who's down in the field, the number to call here at WSMB is 260-WSMB. That's 260-9762. If you want to talk here in the post-game show. Also, we'll take some questions from the website at govoodoo.com. You can click on there and send us a question as well. Well, the 41-40 victory didn't come easy. They never seem to in this arena game. Let's recap this one the way it would happen from top to bottom. Indiana would get on board first with a field goal by Clay Rush to about 3-0 at the 9:27 mark of the first quarter. Aaron Bailey would come back with a touchdown for the Voodoo, his first of 2 on the day, a 15-yard strike from John Fitzgerald, and with the extra point, it was 7-3 New Orleans. Dan Curran would score his first, certainly not his most dramatic of the day, but his first of the day, a 3-yard run. Curran, the fullback, from 3 yards out, with 1:50 left in the first quarter, and the extra point by Schmitz, 14-3. New Orleans goes in front. Coming back though in the second quarter, Indiana, the Firebirds score at the 10:09 mark. Tony Zimmerman, the quarterback, on a 1-yard keeper. The kick was blocked, so it was 14-9 in favor of the Voodoo. New Orleans would go up 21-9 at the 5:47 mark of quarter number 2, as the Voodoo would score on John Fitzgerald's quarterback keeper. Fitzgerald scores to make it 21-9. With 41 seconds left in the half, back come the Firebirds. Leroy Thompson, the fullback, on a 1-yard run. 21-16. New Orleans with a 5-point lead. But they would score with just 19 seconds left, the Voodoo, in the first half to take a 12-point lead into the locker room as Aaron Bailey connects again from John Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's pass to Bailey, this time good for 23 yards. And with Schmidt's kick, it was 28-16 in favor of New Orleans at the break. Well, what was interesting was the momentum turned in the second half, and it turned quickly. Because to open the second half, the Voodoo kick off, and taking it the distance, officially a 56-yard return on this 50-yard field from 6 yards deep in the end zone, Evan Labasek, and that would cut the lead down to 5 with the play rush extra point. Scoring again, Indiana to recapture the lead was Labasek, this time on a 14-yard pass from Zimmerman, and with the rush kick, they take the lead. Indiana on top by 2. 30-28 was the score at that point. New Orleans would finally answer back with their first score of the second half, and it came with just 41 seconds left in the third quarter as Calvin Spears would score on a 22-yard pass play from John Fitzgerald, and then Schmidt's extra point would make it 34-30 New Orleans. The seesaw battle would continue. Indiana comes back to cut the lead down to 1 on a 27-yard field goal by Clay Rush. That came with 9 minutes left in the game. It was 34-33 in favor of the Voodoo. With 5:12 to go, Indiana would take the lead with a 30-yard pass connection. Mike Horacek from Zimmerman again, and that would put Indiana up by 6 with the extra point, 40-34, until the dramatic conclusion on the last play of the game. Officially, it goes as a 2-yard run. Dan Curran tying the game at 40, and Brian Schmitz, who missed an extra point earlier, was not going to make a mistake again, and it's 41-40. The Voodoo improved to 2-0 on the season. Kenny, you got someone down?
Yeah, I do. I want to talk to Monty Montgomery down here. The players making their way out of the locker room and out onto the field as they'll be signing autographs now for quite a while. You know, Monty, a lot of big plays by everybody in this game tonight, and obviously nothing bigger than Dan Curran getting the winning score there. But what we talked about during the broadcast, you sticking Brett Fetch when he was coming in motion there on some times where they were trying to put this game away. Those were big-time plays.
Well, you know, it came down, you know, we had to make a stop to get the offensive ball back, and the whole defense just played great. We just said we're going to stop these guys, and everybody's going to come down and just play man. You know, it's football. You've been doing this since you were 5 years old. Just go out there and have fun and stop those guys, and we gave the ball to the offense, and they put it in for us.
It's one of those kind of things you don't expect to see a cornerback or defensive back just go stand right in the way of this guy running at full speed. And Brett Fetch, as everybody knows here, I mean, you know, Fresh he's got some decent size to him. That's like going and standing in front of a car.
Well, you know, I like the contact. You know, playing in the NFL a couple years, and you know, you got to hit those guys, man. It ain't no waiting, you know. So I just felt like I need to go up there and get my hands on this guy and disrupt the play, and it worked out well for him.
Thank you, Mike. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Monty Montgomery down here. We're also going to talk with head coach Mike New now. He's catching his breath here, Chris. Mike, what'd you tell him?
That's arena ball. That's the way to fight till the end. Our defense really did a nice job in the second half. We got bottled up a little bit offensively. We had the turnover, but man, we got so many veteran guys that know, man, even though the chips are against you from time to time, keep playing, man. It's arena ball and anything can happen. I'm just proud of the effort all the way to the end. And the people, the fans, for hanging with us. You know, they're so excited. Then there was an emotional roller coaster. Dropped down. Things didn't look so good. Then we fought back again, and the fans stayed with us. And them at the end, being that loud, we're thankful and we're appreciative of their support.
I mean, when you had the fumble, that could have been it. But as you talked about all during the week and after last week's game, that just because it looked like that's the end, it's not the end. You got a long way to go once you get to that 1 minute warning to prove 2 again tonight.
You just got to battle. You have to battle for 4 quarters and try to put yourself in a position to win, even when things are stacked against you from time to time. But it's a credit to our players, to our coaches, for hanging in there, for believing, and for fighting all the way to the very end.
To send Dan Curran around the corner like that, first of all, let's back up at the fact that they were trying to do everything they could to take Aaron Bailey away. And in a way, they did take Aaron Bailey away from you, but they kept you alive.
It's tough. As a coach, I'm real hesitant to call a toss play from the 3-yard line, from the 4-yard line, because that's a lot of real estate to cover. But once we got down after those 2 pass interference calls on Aaron Bailey, which he's a special guy now, we got down to the 1-yard line. We looked at their substitution. They had 2 offensive linemen really on the edge, and they had 2 linebackers in the game in the middle because they got a DB hurt, and they switched Brett Besh out to the corner. We put Aaron in high motion, and we put Dan out on the edge, and BJ got a great block. Bruce got up to the next level, and he's tough to stop when he turns corner.
I finished talking to Monty Montgomery about what he was doing to Brett Besh coming in motion on their final drive, and he just stuck his head in there and just shut him down. Totally disrupted their offense.
Monty has picked up this game so quickly. Coach Porter has done a tremendous job with those young DBs. But those guys have fun playing the game. They know it's a full-quarter battle. Monty's a physical player. He came up and challenged their guys when they were in motion, and Monty's a warrior now. I'd love to go to war with that guy anytime.
Physically, how do you get away from this game? I mean, I know Tim Martin's got the bicep strain. Do you think you can get him back by next week? And what about John Fitzgerald's arm?
Well, we really hope so. You know, this was a short week to prepare for our opener. We played on Philly Sunday. We flew back here Monday. We had a short week to prepare for Saturday. Now we got a long week. So we've got 3 days off here, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Get some treatment, try to get these guys healthy before we go into Georgia.
Thank you, Mike. Congratulations.
Kenny, I got a question for Mike.
Yeah, what
I want to know what that victory celebration was after the extra point. It looked like he was doing snow angels out there.
Okay, they're being asked up there. Chris Kenyon in the booth was asking me about, was that snow angels you were doing down there? What was that? Just thankful. That's all. That's about it. Thank you, Mike. Okay.
Kenny seems pretty worn out.
Yeah, he's definitely worn out. There's no question about it. Dan Kern's down here talking with the media. We're going to jump in there in just a second or two. I know you were recapping the game, and obviously a lot of fans down here. I think this is something that everybody will get used to as time goes on. The players are going to come back out and they're going to mingle with the crowd. How long? We'll just have to wait and see. But there's an awful lot of people also by the bench area and by the wall right here waiting to get a hold of maybe something from Mike New as well as Dan Kern. Let's listen to what Dan Kern's having to say to the media right now as well, who scored the winning touchdown.
He went in kind of wide open, wasn't it? Yeah, pretty much. And like I said, the guys up front did a great job. I mean, they've been doing that all year. Hoping to keep it up.
Dan, when you guys took the time, y'all talked about it, and they kept making the penalties and everything, and you kind of feel like, all right, now we're close enough, now they'll throw the toss and I can get around the edge?
Yeah, I mean, I think the boys up front now, and I know I wanted as soon as we got inside the 10, but I mean, you got to be realistic about it. I mean, there's not much time on the clock. We didn't have timeouts left, but as we kept getting the penalties, we expected maybe to play before, and like I said, I think he was going after a certain guy, not because he wasn't a good player, but he's a true O-lineman out there. It's tough for him to beat me to the corner because he's, as opposed to D-lineman, he's an O-lineman, so it worked out.
Once again, a learning experience for a lot of the younger players, realizing that it never ends. It comes all the way down, even when there's no time on the clock.
Yeah, we battled in this one. I mean, kind of similar last week. We had a lull in the first series, but this week was kind of the middle of the game, second half, and we came through, and I'm glad we battled, but we probably can't afford to do that every week, have those lulls in the game, so.
How was John Fitzgerald on that final drive there from a standpoint of keeping everybody calm?
Oh, he was, he's like he's been on the first 2 games of the year and all preseason camp. He had a lot of confidence, and we have a lot of confidence in him, because we can see it in his eyes, and we have a lot of confidence in Mike, and the guys up front kind of buckled down, even though a lot of those guys there put a ton of minutes. And they got the job done because they knew we had to get it. I mean, that was all or nothing in that drive.
Dan, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Dan Curran down here.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll open up the phone lines. 260 WSMB is the number to call. 260-9762. What a day here in New Orleans. The postgame party continues. Our final score here from the arena, the Voodoo. At the buzzer, defeat the Indiana Firebirds to improve to 2-0, 41-40 the final score. Much more to come, folks. Stick around. You're listening to Voodoo Football on WSMB. Welcome back to the New Orleans Arena. Chris Kenyon, your host for the victorious post-game celebration. The New Orleans Voodoo defeat the Indiana Firebirds 41-40 to improve to 2-0 in the lead in this early season in the AFL's Southern Division. 19 teams in the AFL, 4 divisions. New Orleans in there with Tampa Bay, Georgia, Orlando, and Austin. You play those 4 teams twice in a season, home and home. And of course, there's 8 games. Your 16 game schedule completed with 8 teams against non-division rivals. So far, so good. 42-34 last week against Philadelphia. The victory for Mike New. His team improves to 2-0 with the 1-point win here today. 260 WSMB is the number to call. That's 260-9762. We're going to go to the phone lines here in this post-game show. Who we got on the line? John, what have you got for us today?
Hello?
Go ahead, John.
Hey, what's going on?
Good game.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it on TV, but I caught the last little bit of it on your radio station.
It was a great game.
Sounded pretty exciting. Maybe the Saints can learn from these guys.
Hey, it's always nice when you pull it out. I'll tell you what, this is a game you got to come down and see. This is exciting football back and forth. It's end-to-end action that always seems to come down to the last minute. Any questions for Kenny down there on the field or myself?
Nah, I was more inclined to, say that it, sounded pretty exciting. The ticket prices sound pretty cheap. I might end up going down there and seeing the game 1 or 2 times this year.
Yeah, this is an affordable ticket, that's for sure. It's an affordable product. Tickets start at just $6 a piece. The majority of this arena have ticket prices at $20 or less. Today's attendance, 14,236, the official attendance here today. So this is something that's going to grow in New Orleans, and it's catching on. If you look right down the field, Kenny, there's still at least 1,000 or so people down there getting autographs.
Right. A good crowd today, too. I mean, that's the part about it. I think a lot of them came wondering what it was going to be all about in person. They saw it last week, and it was a good game, and in person it's so much better. And I think that if anybody who was at this game today was, coming to this one and going to wait and see, like, oh, okay, I'll go to this one, and then maybe determine if I'm going to go anymore, they were sold on arena football today, because this was a good performance, and this is a well-played game by the Voodoo as well as Indiana. I talked to Brett Pesch when the game actually ended, and obviously very disappointed and heartbroken because they looked like they had the thing won, but it's never over. And as we've talked about, I mean, this one wasn't even over, and it was over according to the clock.
Thanks for the call, John. We appreciate it.
You guys had me holding on, waiting for the end of the game. Sounds pretty exciting.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll see you at the next home game. The next home game for the Voodoo is March 7th against the Tampa Bay Storm. First of back-to-back home games, March 7th and March 12th. But next week, next Sunday, 2 o'clock, we will be in Atlanta to take on the Georgia Force to try to move to 3-0 on the season. And then the 29th of February in Las Vegas against the Gladiators. Saints cornerback Ashley Ambrose will join us in the booth next week. And then in Las Vegas, Michael Lewis, New Orleans' own, an AFL product and NFL Pro Bowl returner, will be in Las Vegas for the game against the Gladiators. So quite a star-studded lineup in the broadcast booth this season for the New Orleans Voodoo. Kenny, we've got some final statistics here, and very similar to last week's. And 42 points on offense last week, 41 this week. Certainly much more dramatic this week, scoring at the end to win the game. John Fitzgerald finishes 16 of 35 for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Aaron Bailey last week, 9 catches, 140 yards. Equally big day today as well. 8 catches for 128 yards, 2 touchdowns like he had last week, up to 4 on the season. Calvin Spears, 2 for 35 with a touchdown as well. Vermont Moore, 2 catches for 30 yards, and Tremaine Neal, 2 catches as well for 16 yards combined. B.J. Cohen and Anthony Collins each caught a pass for 7 and 6 yards, respectively. Dan Curran, the fullback, touches the ball 3 times today. 2 times he finds the end zone as he has 3 rushes for 5 yards. Certainly the most important was the last one of the game, a 2-yard scamper to the right side, untouched into the end zone to give the Voodoo the victory here this afternoon. All right, we're going to take a timeout. The number to call, we'll take your questions, is 260-WSMB, 260-9762. 41-40, the Voodoo defeat the Firebirds. Back with more right after this. Back at the New Orleans Arena, or may we call it the graveyard, as the New Orleans Voodoo send their first opponent into the graveyard today in their home opener, defeating the Indiana Firebirds 41-40. We've got a caller on hold, but right now, before we take that call, let's go back down to the floor. Kenny Wilkerson is with New Orleans Saints general manager and my partner on the radio last week, Mickey Loomis. Kenny?
Okay, Chris, thank you. Down here with Mickey, and Mickey, the fans here paid attention. I think we're finding out more and more why this city led the nation in ratings last year when they didn't even have a team, as well as last week when the game was away, how everybody watched it.
Well, I'm really proud of our fans for sticking with us and staying there until the last play of the game, and no one left their seats, and it was a big boost for our team.
From a standpoint of the way that this went all during the week, the win last week still had a lot of tickets to sell, but yet this team won, and then bam, everybody they gobbled them up as fast and pretty much filled it up here today.
Yeah, we did it. We had a real good crowd, and that's a product of the enthusiasm that people in this area have for football, and a product of the win last week. And with the win this week, hopefully we'll build on that and be able to sell out, every game.
It's interesting to see that the fans were into it. I mean, from beginning to end, especially at the end. But I mean, everybody here knows football pretty well, and you could tell today they were watching this thing. Even though the rules are a lot different than the NFL, they still were very much into this game and knew what was going on.
Yeah, they did, and I'm not sure what the reason for that is, other than that, we have pretty sophisticated football fans here in Louisiana and in New Orleans, and again, they just stuck with our team. It was a big boost for our team.
Thank you, Mickey.
Thanks, Kenny.
Okay, Mickey Loomis down here. I'm going to try to grab a hold of Tom Benson, who's actually walking by real fast. I don't know if we can get a word from him, but yeah, why not? Congratulations, Mr. Benson.
Wife? Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What'd you think?
Well, I tell you what I think is the fans just love it. I'm going to tell you, anybody who wasn't here really missed a show.
That's one of the things that you said when you went off kind of scouting this a year or two ago, watching games in other city 4 years ago, that it's wild and crazy. And first game out the box right here in the arena, here, the same thing.
It was great. It was great. I'm so glad for everybody, all the fans and everybody was watching it on TV. Because if they'd have been here, they'd have felt a little bit more of the excitement, I'll tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Benson.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom Benson down here. Okay, Chris, I'm sending it back.